8-2 at Fenway Park. Tanner Houck allowed 4 runs in 6 innings to take the loss. Danny Jansen 2 hits in his Sox debut. Sox are a game out of a playoff spot. They'll play Seattle at Fenway Park tonight. The trade deadline is at 6 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow night. Cubs made a deal yesterday, getting Tampa Bay All-Star third baseman Isak Paredes for third baseman Christopher Morel and 2 minor leaguers. As for the Patriots, they announced yesterday that starting defensive lineman Christian Barmore is now out indefinitely with blood clots. He was treated over the weekend at Mass General Hospital. The team was back out at practice yesterday as training camp continues. Antonio Gibson officially activated off the non-football injury list. Kendrick Bourne participated in warm-ups. Martin Mapu missed another workout. The pads come on for the first time today. The practice begins at 11 a.m. At the Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team got 23 points from Kevin Durant. They beat Serbia in their opener 110-84. Jason Tatum did not play in this game. The U.S. faces South Sudan on Wednesday. Also, the U.S. women play today against Japan, and the women's soccer team clinched a spot in the quarterfinals with a 4-1 win over Germany. And congratulations to the Little Leaguers from Bridgewater. They won the Massachusetts State Championship yesterday by beating Acton Boxborough 3-1. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by IBEW Local 103 and the Nika Electrical Contractors. For over 50 years, they've been powering TD Garden, making sure it stays lit, safe, and ready for every game. Learn more at thepowerprofessionals.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Open him up with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast. Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na 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 na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
Piece of punk.
Oh, Cubba-Dubba-Doo is right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. Tom Goss has emailed us and said he's going to be in town in September.
What? Hey, now.
And he wishes to come on the show. I said, Tommy Goss, if it ain't a Monday after a Patriots game, Tommy Goss, the floor is yours.
Now, why exclude him from a Monday after a Patriots game? I mean, Fred, how much Patriots are we going to be talking? Do you think?
Why, when you have the gift of the Monday after a football game, would you force Tom Goss into that day? I would like to be able to let Tom Goss stretch his legs.
You know what you do,
get
Fred?
Comfortable.
You let him cook. Let Tom cook.
You let Tommy cook. And so, like, you put Tom Goss on a Monday after a Patriots game, you know, we're going to be like, all right, Tom, it was nice to see you. You put Tom Goss on a day, you got a little bit more freedom. Tommy Goss gets to sit here. Tom Goss, of course, is the man with Nerdy Bear and the Bear song.
Dad.
And he made a very, very heartfelt song about us that he tried very hard on, that where he just changed Bears to Fred.
Dad.
And Hardy.
Yeah, he didn't try very hard. We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and get on there. You can call us 617-779-0985. Hardy, you were gone on Friday.
Yeah. I left, went down to Cape Thursday night. Was gone. I was down there Thursday night, all day Friday, and most of Saturday. And if I could take 2-day vacations, I think everywhere, I think I've got it after 2 days, at least in different locations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could stay at home for a week and be happier than I am away from home for that amount of time. Not to mention the fact that there was someone looking after my dog who is not doing a great job.
What happened?
Let's just say that the person charged with looking after the dog slept in on Friday morning until 8:45. And when I called this person and they said, yes, what's wrong, Daddy? I said, what's wrong is that the alarm is still set. And that tells me that the dog has not been outside or fed. And what's going on? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm like, yeah. Oh, my God is right. Good luck with whatever mess you find. There was no mess. The dog is great. The dog is fine. The other one, I'm not crazy about right now. So after a second night away, I'm like, you know what? I'm stressed over whether or not the dog is okay. Pretty sure my kid was fine, was certainly old enough to be home doing this and taking care of just a couple of things.
Well,
no, I'm coming home.
Your kid's better than Adolfo because
I was just going to ask, what's the kid's name, Adolfo?
yeah, but,
How long did Adolfo leave the dog inside?
a day. And he goes, yeah, it's amazing. She doesn't have to go to the bathroom. And my father was sitting on the couch, and he goes, what? And she goes, yeah, she didn't have to go to the bathroom. And he goes, what the? He goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, yeah, it was weird. She didn't have to go to the bathroom. And he goes, what the F is wrong with you? He literally said that to Adolfo, and that's my dad who only says that to me. He doesn't say it to anybody else.
This was Feeney? I'm trying to remember.
This is Feeney.
Okay.
Who survived. Yeah, I woke up because my dog, I was in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, Wednesday through, and I came back yesterday.
Oh, any problems with the flights? I meant to ask you that.
Hour and a half delay, but they let us know way in advance going there, and no delays coming back.
Oh, good. Okay.
Things seem to be running smoothly on Sunday. And they didn't seem to be that bad on Wednesday. But I got up this morning and the dog had taken a dump in the crate. Because the dog had been in the kennel, and when he gets back from the kennel, he basically just passes out. Like I think that I think it's like when you first get to prison and you hear all the people yelling all night and it's hard to sleep. You know, I think that I imagine that all the dogs are going nuts all night.
Fresh fish.
Exactly. And so I have a feeling he don't sleep a lot at the kennel. I mean, they have cameras. You can watch them. So they're outside playing. He likes other dogs.
Do they load him up with extra treats and other stuff in his diet that he's not used to?
Yeah, they feed him different food and everything.
Yeah,
there you
go.
But so when I get back, I got to take him to the place to bathe him, which he loves. And so, because I take it he's covered in crap.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like take him out of the crate or clean it. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have any kind of a mat in the crate, or does
no?
he
That's long gone. He he does. He would eat it, or he doesn't like it. And then when the couple of occasions he's gone to the bathroom. This is the first time he's gone to the bathroom when there was nothing in there. It's been like a year since he's gone to the bathroom in there. I know why he did. You're right. It's the food. And I think the lack of sleep.
And his poop schedule probably got thrown off.
Oh, I mean, whose hasn't been?
Yeah.
I mean, the summertime.
Hey, tell him to do mornings. Good luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, look at what goes on at this office with the amount of people constantly going to the bathroom.
No bathroom is safe.
But I found out with this last dog, and she's 5 now, 4 or 5, that everything I had known, and I don't know how many dogs you've had in your life, Fred, or been around, but, it's several, let's just say.
Always. I've always had a dog.
And I'm constantly learning that I've been doing it wrong. And a buddy of mine is a dog trainer. That's what he does. And when we first got our dog, he's like, yeah, I'll come over and hang out with you an hour and take a look. And he walks in the house and he's like, nope. Like, what? He's like, this rug should go. I can see she already peed there. When was that? Yesterday? And like he can just sense that stuff. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, they love rugs. Pick them up for 3 months, get rid of them, and then you can put them back down. Maybe 6 months.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I had a rug in my basement where I like watch TV and everything, and he pissed. Whoops, he peed on that, and he peed on that, and I immediately just rolled it up and threw it away, and then put another one down.
Yeah, but then he's like, all right, where's she eat? I'm like, over here. He said, no. He said, feed her in her crate. Put keep her food wherever you want, but she eats in her crate. She'll love her crate. Associate the crate with good things like food and pets and treats and all that stuff in the crate. Feed her in the crate. I'm like, and he's like, okay, so, where does she have access? I'm like, oh, she's our new puppy. She can go whenever you want. He's like, this dog could live in this little section of the dining room here and be totally fine. You think the dog wants free roam of the house? They don't need it, and a lot of them don't even want it. It makes them anxious, and it makes them overwhelmed, especially with a puppy. It's like you keep them in a den. You keep them confined, at least during sleeping hours, and then, you can eventually an adult dog will, figure it out on their own. But from the very beginning, there were so many things that I had done wrong over the years with previous dogs, and she's much better at so many things and so much more well-adjusted, and just you can tell like happy and calm and comfortable being alone and all this stuff, because I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I knew. I've had dogs, I've had good dogs, but the stuff that we do, and whether it's that's why I thought of it, Fred, the crate. I had like a towel in there with her and a mat. He's like, she doesn't need any of that.
Yeah.
He said, where does your dog sleep when I'm like, oh, normally they're on the floor on the hardwood or the tile. He said, exactly. So why do you give them a pillow top mattress when it's time to go night-night? They like the hard, cool ground. They're not us. Don't put your feelings into that dog. That dog, they've got their own thing. And she's going to be happier with like a cool, flat surface to sleep on.
Yeah, that was the smartest thing I did, is not letting the dog sleep in bed with me, and then put him in the crate, because he won't go up. He don't want to go upstairs. He goes down to the basement and he likes the first floor, but he don't like going upstairs that much because he's just not used to it. So that is interesting that your trainer said that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as much of a spaz as he is, and not the best behaved dog, he loves humping pillows. I have
hot.
that. Well, listen, we're already cooking with gas, because the last time I was on the air, we couldn't even get this effing station on until 7 o'clock. This marvelous, marvelous company full of geniuses couldn't get us on the air. Oh, they wanted us on the air. They wanted us on the air so badly, with no elements and nothing, and no commercials, just to sit here and babble with no delay, everything else. But then if we would have said something and it couldn't have been dumped, that would have been on us. So we're already got 1 foot ahead of the other. What a marvelous company Beasley is, and what a marvelous place I work. I love it so much. I hate it.
I was just about to agree with you.
No.
Oh, darn it.
All right. We will be back, Hardy. What's coming up?
Red Sox-Yankees series over the weekend, and finally Team USA basketball that counted for something that happened yesterday.
I watched it on an airplane like a big shot.
Look at you.
I got my own headphones.
What are you flying, Emirates? Were you upstairs in that first class section?
No, private. What do you think?
Private PJ.
Have you ever been on a private jet?
Nope.
Neither have I. But my son, do your kids tell you stuff?
We should take a PJ to Atlantic City.
No better place to
awesome.
go. That'd be the
awesome.
place to take one if you were going to take one.
Can I tell you this? Is that do your kids tell you stuff that you go like they tell you stuff and like I'm like I know they believe it. My son said that a kid he knows that's his age, so 16 years old, is on a soccer team that took a private jet to England for a tournament.
I rock the dome. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, like, I mean, and then he's like, it's affiliated with such and such. I don't want to get into it because it's a kid, but it's like, and look at, I don't know if the kid even told my son that, but it's affiliated with this, and so they took a private jet, and I'm like, I don't think that, but I've stopped arguing with him about this stuff or like correcting him because that's all my dad does to me still at this age is just tells me something like we were at the tournament. My parents came to the tournament. I'll get into it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. We got so many sports to get to. There was Sunday night baseball and everything else. All right, we'll do that. We'll be back in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Ryan from 128, and one of the things that keeps our customers coming back is our hassle-free guarantee. Good Hardy service from at com128.com.
Mother Nature, what's up with her lately? Forget carrying an umbrella. These days you need a snorkel and a hail shield. And how about those sub-zero temps last winter? Our pipes burst like an overfilled balloon. The best defense against unexpected weather? Talk to an independent agent about safety insurance. Get expert advice and coverage that will protect you. No matter what, ask an independent agent about safety insurance. We'll help you manage life storms.
If it's big and it's heavy and it's gotta go, who do you call? Removal Pro, yeah.
When your home or business needs an oil tank of any size removed or installed, go with the Removal Pro. It will also remove any size boiler, furnace, or water heater, and even excavate and replace propane tanks. Visit oilremovalpro.com. That's oilremovalpro.com.
Who do you call? Removal Pro, yeah!
Hey, basketball fans, for a limited time only, experience the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame's newest exhibit. The Vault features the legendary 18-time NBA champion Boston Celtics. Step inside the vault and experience an immersive trip through Celtics history. From Walter Brown to Jaylen Brown, find out why it's different here. You'll see the rings, the trophies, the game-worn jerseys, vintage footage, and more. Experience the dynasty for yourself right here at the Hall of Fame. Visit hoophall.com for tickets. But hurry, these vault doors won't stay open for long.
As much as I'd love to be, I'm the furthest thing from being a car guy. I feel like every time I take my car to the shop, be it for routine maintenance or repair, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. That is until I went to Meineke. See, Meineke is doing car care right. Meineke is total car care. Engines, brakes, tires, even oil changes. Meineke Car Care is your local, independently owned, one-stop shop for total car care. Visit Meineke.com for a location near you. That's Meineke.com to schedule your appointment today. Trust your key with Meineke, doing car care right.
It's Imperial Car's Summerfest Savings Event, and the deals are hot. Take advantage of savings up to $10,000 and rates as low as 0% financing on our most popular new vehicles and 5.99% on used. We've got the area's largest inventory of new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs, and even commercial vehicles too. Don't miss these sizzling summer deals. ImperialCars.com.
To celebrate Team USA going for gold, Xfinity is offering a gold medal deal. Now through August 11th, get our best offer yet with 300 megabit Xfinity internet and one line of unlimited mobile for just $35 a month for a year and a free 5G phone. And the action doesn't stop there. Save on some of the biggest names in streaming by adding the new Xfinity Stream Saver with Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $15 a month. Don't wait. When the Olympic Games end, so does this deal. Go to Xfinity.com/Team USA. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Get the fastest connection to Paris with Xfinity, proud partner of Team USA.
Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Equipment tax and fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply to internet and mobile. Stream Saver price subject to change. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Free 5G phone requires eligible trade-in. Select models only.
The Boston Celtics are NBA champions once again. For 50 years, IBEW Local 103 and the Nika Electrical Contractors have been powering the TD Garden, making sure it stays lit, safe, and ready for every game. IBEW Local 103 and Nika Boston Contractors power the Garden and are ready to power your next project.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/Maz and get on your way to being your best self. That's betterhelp.com/Maz.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's home for sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5, the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What's going on?
Did you boys feel for that Red Sox-Yankees series over the weekend?
A little bit.
When I would, a lot of the fathers or parents, I should say, why just limit it to the men? Were like wanted to go places where they were playing the game. You know who's the loudest people? Out of town fans in front of a television. Maybe Sox fans would be, but so Charleston was overtaken with Little League tournaments, or not Little League necessarily, but youth baseball tournaments. Like my parents were in a different hotel than me. That was full. I was at this Hyatt that was full. That's right, guys. The Hyatt.
How about that?
Mm-hmm. Indoor pool, about 1 lap wide, about half a lap long.
Huh.
No kid went into it because it was so bad.
Those are nice.
Yeah, that's where you know where you are. And in Charleston, why have it outdoors, right?
Let me guess, about 4 feet deep?
Can't say I went in there, but from what I was told,
Like just below the nipples, that's always a good pool depth.
Yeah, let's put it this way. There were 14 kids, and not one kid went into the pool, and not one parent went into the pool. But they had, but the people that were the loudest, so there was a hotel bar, which was not much of a bar, so it wasn't like a happening, right? Like, don't think it's like a hotel where people congregate at the bar. This is like a place where, mid-management business people generally probably would travel.
Potato skins?
I don't know. No, they didn't even serve food. It was just it was open legit. It looked like 3 hours a day, like from 4 to 7. It was open.
Okay. See, beer, wine, and serve yourself waffle maker there in the bar.
Oh, they had your breakfast in the morning, and I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'll splurge. We'll go somewhere else. But I hear yelling and screaming, and it's they're watching the television. And so I go, I wonder what's going on. I wonder if something like incredible is happening in the Olympics or something of that nature. It's Yankees-Mets. And what inning is it, fellas?
First.
The fourth inning.
Yeah.
It's just like, get out of here that you care that much. Get out of here that you care that much about it. That you're vocally cheering during. Come on.
The first inning of a baseball game.
A July baseball game. And by the way, this isn't the first Subway series. I mean, First of all, this is why they did it. This has been happening for years.
Pretty much every season, right?
It drives me insane. The desire to watch it, I get. That's great. You're a fan. That you are putting on a show. If you were at home, there's no way you would be yelling at the television. There's no way. If you're that big a fan, that means that you watch, say there's 162 games. If you're a huge fan of baseball, you probably watch 90 to 100 and not even the whole thing. There's no way 90 to 100 times of seeing something every year that you're yelling during it. The postseason, maybe. The end of the season when they're fighting for a wild card of the division, maybe. Not in July. You're just and then I'm not obviously at the bar, but it's in the lobby. It's a dump. It's in the lobby, right? It's not a nice hotel, and so but it was fine. But like, and then I hear, and then the guys, and then someone goes like, "Hey, what are you guys yelling about?" And they're like, "The Yankees." It's like everyone's like, "Look at me, I'm from Long Island." Look at me, I'm from Long Island. I'm so proud of myself.
Well, if anyone could spot him, it'd be you. The Long Island Yankee fan.
There was some juice, I will say.
They were a Yankee fan, not Met fan. Mets fans were staying in a sewer.
See, I get that.
It's really,
sorry, Hardy. Go ahead.
No, it's really more of a runoff area. I don't think there's any grates covering where they were sleeping,
exactly.
but it's kind of like a collection area.
And as a Jet fan, I can tell you, Jet and Met fans.
I know they
not the wealthy ones.
No.
no. They're Jet, for the most part.
There's a clear line. You could pretty much tell walking up to one. Yeah.
Well, the best is
Very
when they have
easy.
a map of like where teams are where like what areas of country teams are the most popular, and even like the Chiefs like have like a before Super Bowls and everything like have like a part of like the Midwest, like the Lions say like the crappy Lions, they have all of Michigan and like parts of Indiana and stuff.
Oh, this is going.
And the Jets have this little tiny dot.
It's like a popcorn kernel.
It's Nassau County. It's legit just Nassau County. It's not even on. You can go look up a map of it. It's not even all of Long Island.
Mets are a little bigger but similar.
Yeah, Mets are more popular than the Jets. There's no question about it. All right.
Well, there was some juice to the Yankees-Red Sox. We had talked about it last week and how they would fare coming back to Fenway Park after a rough start after the All-Star break, of course, being swept out in L.A. and, not looking great against Colorado. And quite frankly, with the Game 1 win on Friday night, even after Aaron Judge hit one that maybe hasn't landed yet, 470 feet, a home run from Aaron Judge wasn't enough to get the Yankees a win, so the Red Sox win 9-7 Friday night. They end up losing in 10 innings on Saturday night.
1 out away from winning on Saturday night, and Kenley Jansen gave it up. 1 out away.
So what would they do in the rubber match? Or maybe more to the point, what would the Yankees do in the third and final game of the set last night?
Was in the lineup against him. And he rockets one into right center. That brings Judge in. Wells rounds, and the throw is cut off, and now they have Glaber in a rundown. He will be tagged out. He does deliver 2 RBIs. Both Judge and Wells come in.
We went to dinner last night and sitting there in Town Spa, and I looked up at the TV. The game had just started. I'm like, we'll go watch a few innings of the Red Sox and eat some pizza. It's 3-0. 3-0 first inning. I'm like, well.
I watched that entire game last night. Not to brag, but I did. I watched that entire game. Now, were my eyes on it the entire? And I watched it in 2 different places. I had to put a toddler to bed last night.
Sure.
My daughter was babysitting a toddler, her cousin, and I had to go over there.
Oh boy!
It was a 4. No, not oh boy, but I mean, she was doing a good job, but just. She's like the kid won't go to sleep.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
3?
3 or 4. Like 3.5, I think.
Forget about terrible twos, man. 3.
She was sweet. She was like a nice little girl, but and Zoe was doing a great job. I feel obligated to say that for some reason, but it was just, she was in a strange bed. Her mom wasn't around.
Yeah.
No, like real adult was around. So I came over, and it's the muscle, man. I knew right away. Scream at her, threaten,
scare her.
Yeah,
it's like, you think you're scared of being in a strange place? Wait till you're just falling asleep, and I jump out of the closet and scare you.
I don't know if I should tell you guys this or not, but my son and I went over there, and the girl goes like, I wasn't up there yet, and the girl goes like, Zoe, will you check for monsters? And Milo went, I will. They're in the closet.
But Milo is related to this toddler, right?
Yes.
That's kind of what cousins are for.
Yeah, Milo's related to the toddler.
Yeah.
You say she's
and then
3?
he was,
Man.
then he came down and he told me and he was proud of it. I was gonna go, great job, dude. I'm like, do you know the problems you just caused? He was like, Dad, guess what I did? I made a big funny joke.
I thought you were
to who? A 4-year-old?
So you're going to say, I don't know if I should tell you this, but Milo and I went over there last night, and we took a hatchet to the power line on the outside of the house. So even calling the power company would do nothing. You can't. No internet, no electricity, no phone. For a joke.
Yeah.
It's like a prank. Anyway, the Yankees were not done with their offense even after going up 3-0 in the first.
That ball is driven deep to right field. That sends O'Neill back. Still going back. He won't get it. That's a ground rule double. And that's 2 runs scored for the New York Yankees. Oswaldo Cabrera gives them the insurance they wanted with a 2-run double. They lead it 7-2.
And if you add up all those runs that the Yankees scored, let's see, that's 7 and 11, 18, 26 runs. I believe the most runs scored in a 3-game set going back to early 2010s. It's been more than 10 years.
Over a decade.
Yes, over a decade. And they took the rubber match last night, 8-2 the final.
There's one, and congratulations on Cora getting the extension. And now I don't know what Red Sox fans are going to bitch about, but there was one part of that game, if you're a Red Sox fan, that I'd be like pissed off about. Do you know what it is, John, off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
Jazz Chisholm, he hits his head against the shortstop. He stays in the game, and there is a pitch, and no one's paying any attention. So he's just able to walk over to third base.
Yes, I did see that.
Because the third baseman, Hardy, was walking around, not paying attention to anything. And in the major leagues, Jazz was able to go,
there's an empty base.
There's literally an empty base on the field. And I know I'm not going to go play-by-play in a game, but it is amazing to me that at that level,
you can still do that.
That you can still
that
just
was a
be
little
that
league. That was a little league thing.
That you could still just be that absent-minded.
They'll lose yourself in the middle of a game. Just not really paying attention.
Yeah. And I got news for you. Like, those guys on base want the statistics. Like, they're going to try.
Yes.
They are going to keep their eyes open. So, whatever. But, look, the Yankees are better than the Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, the Red Sox, we've said it many times, the Red Sox are very fortunate to be where they are.
And the Red Sox should be so much better than the Yankees should be so much better than the Red Sox.
The Red Sox, talent-wise, if you match the rosters, it's no contest. So the Red Sox have a bunch of guys playing way over their head. But having said, they're 2-7 since the All-Star break, and they're still only a game out of a playoff spot. So you got the trade deadline tomorrow. They've already made a couple of moves.
Yeah, we'll talk.
You figure. Yeah, we have Chris Cotillo coming up later, but ultimately they need to make at least 1 or 2 more. They've made a couple of minor ones, and they need to make at least 1 or 2 more.
But it's going to be really, really hard. So you've heard that the White Sox aren't getting rid of Crochet, and the Tigers certainly, I knew they weren't. We were going to get rid of Skubal. Sorry, and there's just not going to be a lot. Like, you're going to be, and there's a lot of teams fighting for it. Now that the Cubs have made a move, in the Cubs, like, why, like, they're I didn't think they were. I thought that they might sell. So I know they're not far out of it, but they're lumped in with a lot of teams.
Yeah, they traded a young third baseman for an all-star third baseman.
Yeah,
that's basically what happened.
And what an all-star! I mean, I knew who he was right before that trade. I mean,
well, we went through the rosters there. It does get difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea who that guy was, but it just, there's not going to be a lot available.
Well, they're going to pick around the edges like they've been doing already.
But I don't even think if they want it. Oh, and Toronto's not trading Vlad Guerrero.
No.
So, like, this has all been announced. So I don't know what any team's going to do that's going to be like a monumental move. I didn't think the Red Sox should or would do something huge unless they could have gotten a guy with like an all-star with time left on his contract,
right.
And then I would move pieces around. I don't want to hear any bitching. I don't hear any bitching. The cupboard's bare.
The prices you are going to have to pay just for a decent reliever, let alone a mediocre one. Last night, I was listening to Ken Rosenthal. He's talking about the closer for Miami, Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott is probably going to cost you $2 major league pitching prospects, 2 minor league guys that could probably start at a major league level. The Red Sox don't have that. Right now, as we sit here, you can't look at 2 prospects and go, oh, those guys will make it in the majors and be rotation guys. So you can't afford an impact bullpen arm based on what Ken Rosenthal think the price is.
I care so much more about the currency that you have in your farm system and as prospects than I do about them becoming actual players. And that is my short-sightedness, and that's why I'd make a terrible GM. But move whoever you need to.
But they just don't have pitching prospects.
No,
You're right, and I agree with you in that they have a lot of redundancy in position players. But John's. If you go by what Baseball America and people say, there's just not a lot of pitching prospects there.
Their top pitching prospect, just if you were ever wanting to deal him, just underwent Tommy John surgery last month. I mean, this is where the Red Sox are, and that guy just got to Double-A.
Yeah, and there is a point where you got to go. All right, we're not winning a World Series this year. We're not winning a World Series this year. Again, if Skubal or Crochet were available and they're young and they have time left, I would move.
No, for a rental,
prospects.
Absolutely not.
But
no.
for a rental, I wouldn't do that.
The sad part of it is the Red Sox wanted a right-handed bat. We talked about this last week. The Red Sox need a right-handed bat in that lineup to kind of balance things out. Their solution for a right-handed bat was to get a third catcher they didn't need.
Yeah, I don't know.
Danny Jansen, who had 2 hits last night, congratulations, in his Sox debut. He was the DH. That's the Red Sox excuse for balancing the lineup. The guy isn't hitting 220.
Well, and your catcher hit a home run last night, so I don't.
You didn't need him. Connor Wong's done pretty well for himself this season.
Connor Wong was a surprise. All right, when we come back, Hardy, what will we discuss? I'm so excited.
Some more training camp injuries over the weekend, including a very bad one for the Patriots. Not so much an injury, but something that will keep a player out for some time. And, of course, what happened with Team USA basketball yesterday.
Yep, we will have all that for you. Hear the headlines.
Sports Hub headline.
Moment more with FanDuel, 617-779-0985 if you would like to get involved in our conversation. There's always room. Hardy, what is going on in the world of athletics? I need to know. Are people doing things that volleyball is on TV right now? It's Turkey versus NED.
Netherlands.
Sure. Why is it not NET?
I don't know. Morocco is MAR. I have no idea
Yeah,
what
I'll talk. Don't worry, I'll talk to him. I'll find out what's going on with the Netherlands. People are too happy there. They always do the quality of living, and it's always like Austria, the Netherlands. They're always too far up there.
A lot of bicycles.
I don't like that you're happier than the good old USA. I don't buy it.
A lot of bicycles.
Yeah. Did you ever have see someone who's just like moved over here from one of the countries and they have kids and like the kids are incredibly independent and able to ride their bicycles for like miles and miles and miles. I coached a baseball team with a kid from one of those countries, and like he got himself to practice. He would be on time. He would ride his bike. He was riding his bike everywhere. And
eating fruit.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he had a job.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, he was accounts receivable at a small manufacturing company.
It was a startup, but he got in on the ground level, so good for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if they sell, basically, is when he makes his money. It's not so much the salary. But he's young, so he can afford that.
That's right. This is the time to do it. Not great news for the Patriots over the weekend. As we had decided last week, their third best defensive player, Christian Barmore. That's what we decided on as a show, right?
Yeah, Gonzalez,
Judon first.
Judon first, Gonzalez, and
Thank you. Christian Barmore diagnosed with blood clots over the weekend. And
blood clot!
Of course, the consensus was that he is an instrumental part of the defense, the DT for the Patriots. And the principal concern is his health right now. He's treated at Mass General Brigham, but there's really no timetable for Christian Barmore right now. He wrote on Instagram, "Thank you for all the support, thoughts, and prayers. I'll be back soon." But that, of course, is just from Barmore and not really an indication as when we can expect him back.
Yeah, that's a shame. And at least he's getting paid.
It's a shame for anyone who is operating under the belief, as I think I am, a lot of people are, that the defense is going to have to carry this team for a while. Now,
why would you think that?
Now we're going to hear lots more about Drake May in the coming days, and apparently he has looked good, but there's still no reason to believe that Drake May is even going to be starting this, at the beginning of this
Drake
season.
May could be great. And he's not going to be Patrick Mahomes now, like Patrick Mahomes last season, like quality. Say Drake May is great, and Caleb Williams, by the way, has not looked good by all reports. But say Drake May is like unbelievable. Their offense is going to suck. He's not going to be capable of doing anything.
There's nothing more important this season than developing this kid.
Yes,
that is item number one.
Their offense is going to suck. Regardless, they don't have any skill position players, and their offensive line blows. There's nothing they can do. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson's got a nice fresh contract, which is nice for him. But let's face it, it's not if the offense is going to suck. The offense is going to suck, and the defense will be good. But I mean, Christian Barmore, I feel sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for the Patriots or the Patriot fans. If anything, you get a better pick.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing that has happened to him, but at the same time, I didn't expect this team to win more than 5 games this season.
If you're Patriots fans, you really want them to win more than 5 games this season? Like, when it comes down to it, again, it comes down to the development of Drake May and the young players. I think there's a lot of reasons to watch the Patriots this season. I really do.
Of course.
Gerard Mayo, the way the front office is operating, the development of Christian Gonzalez, the development of Drake May, the development of Drake May, the development of the young receivers. There's a lot of things to watch and hope for, and you'd like the team to get better as the year goes on, right?
Right. You develop the young kids. You want to see them all stay healthy, but the most important thing is getting an offensive line in front of this kid and having this kid develop. Now, you can develop him without him playing. That's also a possibility.
Well, that's
but
why
I don't want this kid to get killed. And we had an argument, Holly and I. Holly seems to think this team is capable of winning 6 or 7 games this year.
Fine. Well,
And
I just said.
that's
so what if they
insane.
win 6 games? Who cares? I mean, it's all the
Get
same.
a high enough pick to draft yourself a franchise left tackle.
Whoa, whatever. That's not like a bold statement. Fine, they could win 6 or 7 games. They could go 6-11. Big deal. They could go 6-11, or they could go 7-10. Like, I mean, big deal. But if it was 6-11, 7-10, here's what I would root for if I was a Patriots fan. The team's not going to make the playoffs. So what I would want is the team to get progressively better, and then I would even make the argument, because they have their quarterback, that at the end of the season I would want them winning games. That if it came down to like if we win this game, we won't have the 2nd pick in the draft. We'll have the 4th pick in the draft. I almost think it's worth it to win those games because of culture building and, young players experiencing that. I really do, especially since you have your quarterback.
Yeah.
If you didn't have your quarterback, then
That
no.
it makes it because that 2nd or 3rd spot that you would not 2nd or 3rd, but those spots you move down the draft order could be disastrous
if you
by
need
winning
a quarterback.
couple of games. Right, but if you don't need one.
But you'll get the best player at a premier position if you have a top 5 pick.
Correct.
Or you'll get the 2nd best wide receiver, which is like this year's draft is a guy that is an elite receiver. I mean, they're going crazy in Chicago about the 3rd receiver that was taken.
Yeah.
So that's how I believe me, I've been through this several times. That's how I would like to watch. I think there's a lot of reason to pay a close attention to this season, and that's what I'd be rooting for. I feel really bad for Barmore, but in terms of the Patriots, listen, let him get healthy. I'd want him healthy for next year.
Yes.
Keep him healthy for next year.
A couple other injuries. The Cowboys pass rusher Sam Williams torn ACL, so that's it for him. And the kicker from the Lions warming up.
Badgley.
Michael Badgley. Hamstring.
Tore it, right?
Yeah.
Torn hamstring out for the season.
How the hell is that possible?
You would
all those guys do is stretch. They just stretch all day. All day long they're stretching. They can put their leg to their head. What's the point if you can put your leg over your head? And believe me, guys, I can.
Oh.
Grinder, my name. I like when people are like, that girl can put her, there's that Seinfeld about it, that she's a gymnast, and at the end, Jerry's like, yeah. like it didn't really matter. Oh. But I'm dead serious. Like, if you can stretch to the point where you can kick your leg and touch your thigh to your face, or your knee to your face, like, how the hell can you rip your hamstring? Unless you're the little guy, Grammatica, running around celebrating.
Suffered an injury getting ready for practice. So, placed on injured reserve. Will miss the season. It's going to require surgery.
The only thing that gets injured when I'm getting ready is my pride.
There you go.
Because I'm like, I just don't look good.
You know who did look good last night, Fred?
Huh?
Durant. Edwards. 4 to work with. Edwards.
Oh, give him that work. Give him that work. Give him that work.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, we'll get to that guy later.
Don't listen to D-Wade. Just pay attention to the basketball.
Don't worry. We'll get to Dwayne Wade quick enough. This morning, we'll get to Dwayne Wade. Don't worry about it. We won't do it now.
Give him that work.
Put him in the blender. Edwards. Sheffin. Curry. Loving it. U.S. dominating now through 3.
Well, atrocious.
There was a slow start, and Serbia was playing well. They were playing are these guys all playing like full court press defense in the Olympics? Because Serbia was last night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are all the teams doing this?
I don't think all the teams are doing it.
Serbia, it looked like college, man.
Yeah,
they
were ambushed him at the start. That's
up
true.
In everybody's face trying to get the ball in, but the U.S. team did what the U.S. team should have done.
Curry, stop it.
Oh, no, look away. Don't you do that. Don't you do that stuff.
A perfect finisher. The United States get it done. Curry in style. And the final score, USA 110.
Oh, shut up. By the way, I know it's like the country they're broadcasting for, but you're on a national broadcast, man. Calm down with the cheering.
He checked himself a couple of times when he said, we'll get to D-Wade. And you know what?
Yeah, we'll get to it later.
I'll save it.
But Serbia's got, except for Jokic,
there's one other guy.
Yeah, they're no good. But I'll tell you, Durant, I guess the first half that Durant had is the best half he's ever had, at least since he's been a pro. He was perfect from the field, right?
Perfect from three.
No, I think he was perfect from the field.
Could be.
No. I think he was 10 for 10 for the field or something like that. Maybe not 10 for 10, but I do believe I heard this morning he was perfect from the field in the first half.
Okay.
But if I'm wrong,
he was 8 for 9 for the game.
I was going to say
5 for 3.
He was. I think
he was perfect in the first half.
He was 8 for 8, I think, at one point. And the fact that he hasn't played in
since April.
Going
five
back to
hasn't
April.
played 5-on-5 since April.
Nobody expected or suspected that he would go out there and hit from a variety of shots. And looking at his shot chart. From beyond the arc, multiple spots. Yeah. He had a couple of shots just outside the key that, he was on. And it was remarkable for somebody who hasn't played.
Yeah. Jason Tatum was benched. You know why?
I was just going to say.
Someone in the crowd got mad at him.
Even more remarkable, Jason Tatum did not play at all.
He and Tyrese Halliburton sitting there on the bench, 20-point lead, still sitting.
Yeah, and
bizarre.
And Embiid, because he wouldn't play for France, got booed every time he touched the ball, so he got booed once. All right, Embiid should not be on this basketball team. He could have done. France would have been awesome if they had Embiid, because then they'd have 3 7-footers. It would have been so cool. Can you imagine if they started 3 7-footers? That would be awesome.
Wembanyama, Gobert, and Embiid across the front line.
Plus, they got that kid that was second pick in the draft who's got to be close to 7 feet tall, 6'10" maybe.
They have Sarr too. I didn't look.
Yeah, they got Sarr on that team.
They have Sarr on that team.
Yeah.
Sarr did not do well during the summer league. Did not do well. He was 0 for 15 in one summer league game.
They all can't be brawny. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. I was in Charleston. My parents were there. They're 82. I will inform you. I'm going to make you all very jealous coming up in just a moment.
is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. 617-779-0985. If your children play sports, God bless you if they play hockey or soccer. Because when the kids, I know friends of mine, one of the guys is a fireman, his kid, elementary school, I think, 5th or 6th grade, went to Portugal for a tournament, which is entirely, it would just seem unnecessary.
I was going to say, which is entirely necessary for 10-year-olds to go to Portugal to play soccer.
It's
you
and I
do
had
that.
Billy, our own Billy Jaffe has his son Jake, and he's like, I don't care about I'm not going to push Jake, and he's like, but we got a tournament I'm coaching.
He called us from the parking lot of a tournament in Quebec.
Well, Quebec. How about that? He went to Finland. For a tournament.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He goes to Finland for a tournament. Yep. And he cares so little about the team that he mentions it on the Nesson broadcast.
Yeah.
The team that he coaches.
I'm having my son take boxing lessons on Saturday morning at 6 a.m.
Well, he's like, I'm not really into it, Jake. We built this big thing in the basement, and he's taking boxing lessons at 6 in the morning before he skates for 4 hours. But right. It's not that big a deal.
I'm not taking it seriously.
We're not taking it seriously.
It's not like our entire lives or anything.
Right. So, this tournament, I had to fly down on Wednesday. It was in Charleston, South Carolina. I flew down on Wednesday, and I left yesterday morning, which was before I was supposed to leave. So he missed a game, and they said to leave on Sunday, and there were some parents that had just kept it open. They were going to book flights, when they found out how much the kids were going to have to play on Sunday, and the kids played at 8 o'clock on Sunday and lost. So they had from 10 in the morning until infinity to figure out how to get back. Meanwhile, by the time we knew when we were sitting at the gate that they had lost, my son couldn't pitch anyway. His shoulder's messed up. And if he could have pitched, I would have stayed. But the main reason I took my son down there, and I was going to, because he's hurt, but he did play. But even if he was hurt, I was going to take him down because the main thing is, being with the other kids. But a great thing about being down in Charleston is that it's only a 6-hour drive from East Tennessee. So my mom and dad, who are 82 years old, could come down and be confused there. They stayed at a different hotel. And they were there. They were there for my son, and there were a lot of fun times. We were at a restaurant, and you guys remember Carolyn Mano?
Yes,
she did NBC Sports Boston. You've all, except for John, who they won't have on for some reason. Hardy, you've done a lot of work at NBC Sports Boston, correct?
Yeah. Great people.
Carolyn Mano, and now she's a big shot. She's doing Olympic coverage for NBC on the network, on NBC. Mm-hmm. So my parents and I were out to dinner one evening, and that's always something because I have to translate for them now to the waitress. They'll be like, the waitress will be like, hey, the specials today are, we have a blackened salmon that's served over risotto. So there's lamb on a sandwich? No, Dad. No.
Lamb sandwich?
Lamb sandwich, it doesn't even rhyme, Dad. They don't even sound the same. Uh-huh. So we're sitting at a table, and there's a bar to the left of us, and there's 3 TVs above the bar. We are talking about the Olympics, my parents and I, having a conversation about the Olympics. And I go, oh, that woman, and I point to the television, is Carolyn Mano. I worked with her a few times on NBC Sports Boston. She's from Boston. Now she's this big shot. She's got this big job now. My mom goes, why don't you go say hi to her? I said, we were talking about the Olympics. I pointed to the television, and I said, I know her. I worked with her at NBC Sports Boston Television, and now she's got this big job. I pointed at the TV, and I said to my mom, my mom said, why don't you go say hello to her? My mom, because I was pointing in the general direction of the bar, thought I was talking about the bartender. So what I would have said to my parents...
This is obviously a big job that she's got here at the Hyatt.
Let's take it to another place. So say we're in Charleston, South Carolina. We go into a random restaurant. We sit down at a table. I go there. Let's take it through all the variables of how stupid this is. She's not senile, by the way, or anything. I mean, they drove from East Tennessee. They're active.
Which is impressive.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that, which made me sad. It made me very sad. And I become kind of a parent because like they left yesterday, and I'm like, I begged them to like not drive all the way back because they're like, it's terrible in North Carolina. Anyway, so let's go through all the variables. I said I worked with her at NBC Sports Boston Television. I said now she's got this big job, and I said. So that's pretty cool. It's a big deal. Also, don't you think if we walked into a bar in Charleston, in a restaurant in Charleston, and there was no one at the bar, don't you think if I had worked with the bartender, I would have gone up and said hello? Don't you think one of us would have communicated with the other person? Don't you think I already would have? That's how dumb they think I am. Like well, why so shy? Why not just go up to her? So we're at this big baseball complex. It's 5 fields. By the way, some teams flew down and it was still coach pitch. They flew down to South Carolina. $10 to get in. $10 to get in.
By the way, the ballpark was a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. I saw you post
Oh, yeah, it's
on
beautiful.
Instagram.
Beautiful
Really,
facility.
really nice.
On the water, it was a beautiful shipyard. It was a beautiful facility.
Tall ships? Sailboats out there?
I think it was more of it used to be a shipyard.
Okay.
And but there were coach pitch guys out there, and I'm like, good for you taking these 6-year-olds on the road with you.
Flew in for
yeah, why not? I'm sure that's fun to wrangle them all up. And so it is on the water, and in the background, about right past center field, there's a tower with boats all over it. Okay?
All right.
And my mom says, "Yeah, wow, there's a lot of boats around here." And I go, "Yeah," and she goes, "What do you think that?" She goes, "There's a lot of boats around here, like on the water and everything." She goes, there's very nice houses, and I go, "Yeah," and she goes, "What do you think that tower is all about?" And that building, and I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "What do you think that building is?" I goes, "Well, it's to store boats." And she goes, "Well, how do you know that? What do you know? Like, how do you know it's to store boats?" The boat's on it. There's 24 boats on it, Mom. They're in the air. Not in the water.
No.
They're in the air.
So what did your mom say after you said that?
She laughed and said, "Oh, yeah. They're boats." This happened constantly. Sitting at a game. My father. Here's an example of my father. This isn't that big a deal, but we're sitting there and the umpire goes, "Hey, I'll need 3. I get Joe, get me 3." And my father starts going, he wants a drink. He asked the guy for a drink. Like, that's like he's thirsty. He asked the guy, He's laughing like an imbecile at nothing. The guy then walks, and a man hands him 3 baseballs. He goes, I didn't get a drink. And I go, no, he asked for 3 baseballs. He goes, no, he asked for a drink. I said, they just handed him 3 baseballs, Dad. He had asked for 3 baseballs. No. Cincinnati game. Said the game was going to start at 1:30. It ends up running late. We're watching another team. Because there's nothing else to do here at this park.
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing else to do. We're watching this other team. It says this kid's throwing about 85 miles an hour, my dad says. He goes mid to high 80s. I said, yeah, I don't think so. Like he wasn't. Like I'm like, It's a big deal. Like if a kid who's 14 is throwing 85 miles an hour, it's like a lot of people would be like interested in this.
Right.
He's not anywhere near it. So we're this other family comes up and we're talking to them, and my dad's like, "Yeah, this kid's throwing like 85."
Oh no!
And they go, "No, I don't think so." And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad. Like it would be really impressive if a kid was throwing 85, 87 miles an hour. Like I like
we would all notice that too.
Yeah, like it would be this big deal. He's not like high 80s is really fast." And my dad goes, "I didn't say high 80s."
Yes. 85.
I said mid to high 80s.
Yeah. What do you think the kid was actually throwing?
70?
I was gonna benefit of the doubt and say 75, maybe.
No. My son, if he's right, throws 75, 77, 78. Like no. He wasn't throwing that fast. Oof. But my father's arguing with his other family.
Oh boy.
About the speed of the pitching.
The kid's parents. No.
He's flinging it in. He's throwing 106 miles an hour. You ever see, what I heard is that he hurt his arm. He had some, and then afterwards, he had this weird ability to throw rocket balls. And the Cubs are interested in him. He's gonna upset his friends, but at the end they'll get back together.
Can we for a second though just talk about the disparity between your parents who will drive 6 hours on their own to go to a baseball game, whereas their son won't drive 10 miles if it's someplace that he is unfamiliar with and doesn't do on a regular basis. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. Their propensity of driving and their wanting to save money is far, far greater than mine. Yeah, there's no question about it.
But you don't like the physical act of driving and going somewhere if you don't know exactly where you're going.
Are you referring to like taking the lift to the golf tournament? Like,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's more of a yeah, that's fair. Like if it's first of all, like if we're doing the show from somewhere and I don't know where it is, yeah, I'll definitely take a lift because I can't take Uber because they blocked me. But I don't know why. I mean, I only exposed myself 4 times. I thought it was 5 times was the rule. But I will, because I figure in the morning I don't want to deal with it because I have enough to worry about. Like I don't want to deal with it. And then if I'm like going on a date or something and it's in the city or somewhere where I'm not positive I can park easily, I will. I'll take a lift. But I mean, I had a rental car in Charleston and drove everywhere. I mean, I had to drive everywhere that we went to. I mean, you'd be very proud of me. Like if I have to drive, I'll drive.
I don't think pride is something that I would.
Hardy.
Go, Fred. I'm more interested in the difference between you and your parents.
My parents
as an only child, you came from them, and they behaved.
They were not only children, so I think that they were not instilled the sense of perpetual dread and anxiety and lack of self-confidence that I have.
But you would think some of that stuff would be passed down almost genetically, like the ability or at least the desire to like drive yourself places like they did.
But they're cheap. It's more being cheap. Like, I don't mind paying, $40 for a lift, and I'd much rather fly than drive. It's more of a financial consideration, I think, for them.
Yeah. Well, my mom does it too, and my mom is 80, and she and her friend will drive from. They did it, I think, last summer. They drove up here. They may have drove to Michigan once, but my mom describes it the same way. My mom isn't cheap, but she's always been, smart with her money. Let's put it that way. That's the nice way of saying it, right? And that's the honest way of saying it. She's been smart about it. She says, I got time. I don't need to get anywhere in a hurry. I don't need to do anything in a hurry.
But wouldn't you rather have flown if you were going to have to stop halfway back because it was going to get dark and you can't drive in the dark? Like, wouldn't it have made more sense for them to fly? I know they went specifically because they could drive. And they wanted, and my dad's obsessed with baseball, so he wanted to see Milo play baseball. But, like, time kept ticking. They were leaving on Saturday, and time kept ticking because the game started late, and then, like, things were going. I'm like, you guys should really leave. You guys should really leave. And then they ended up, like, driving 2 hours and stopping. I'm like, why'd you even leave? Why'd you even go?
Right. Stay here one more night.
But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. They might be more of a handful than my kids by quite a margin now. More of a handful than my kids. I don't have to translate for my kids at a restaurant. I don't have to sit there and get them under control. I can tell you stuff.
What did you just think of?
Settle down.
They'll be like my dad would be like, is that the kid? Is that the kid that pitched yesterday? That's pitching today? No. How do you know? They're different, Dad. They're different. What? They're different. Well, how do you know? He's a different race. I had to yell that. He's a different race, Dad. He's an African-American kid. The kid yesterday was white.
Freddie, why are you getting so upset?
I wasn't upset.
No,
I had to say that.
Saying that to you.
No, I have to say that so he can hear.
Oh,
because he'll argue. Is that the kid that pitched yesterday? No, it's not the kid that pitched yesterday. I think it's the kid that pitched yesterday. No, Dad. All right, yeah, it's not, but don't worry about it. Well, no, it's the kid who pitched yesterday. How would you know it's not the kid that pitched yesterday? He's black!
The one yesterday was a white.
That actually happened, and then everyone turned around. Yeah, the kid was white yesterday, and the kid that's pitching today is black. Oh. That's how I know the difference between them.
Maybe your father doesn't see color.
That I believe. That I believe.
Good call.
But that's not all he doesn't see. And he loves going, have you seen this? And popping up the phone, and it's something Fox News has got to say. Have you seen this? Big bombing in Israel. And I'll be like, yeah, all right. Yeah. Thanks. Said, that's not good. No, it's not good.
Ready for dinner?
Good conversation, Dad. I'm glad we're doing this. All right. And his phone's all caked with garbage because it's just been in his old hand and pockets and snot. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Hatcher and Hardy. Mike Reiss is our good friend. He's the guy at ESPN, the NFL Nation reporter covering the Patriots, and he joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Mike Reiss, hello, sir.
Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Hardy. How we doing, John?
We are doing well. Thank you for addressing all of us. It shows that you care and you treat us all as equals, which is very important.
Somebody prepped you very well to let you know who you would be speaking to this morning, and you know all our names like you know us. That's cool.
Cool.
I like that.
My guys.
Yeah,
my guys.
I appreciate it.
All right, Christian Barmore. It's sad. It's a sad situation. Do you know anything about the severity of it, or what has the team said anything about it?
So, Fred, he was out on the field for the first day on Wednesday and didn't really even make it through the practice. I don't think he was feeling well. It sort of led to the situation, where he goes to Mass General Brigham, and I think the head athletic trainer Jim Whalen deserves a lot of credit here for just staying on top of it. And really, I don't want to say saving his life, but just making sure that what was diagnosed, and that Christian's going to be, hopefully okay here. I think I go back to 2019 when David Andrews had a similar situation and he missed the whole season, and he's come back and, has played the last 3 years. And so I would say, they don't say there's a timetable for return. My expectation personally, and this is my opinion, it's not based on anything anyone has told me, is I would be surprised to see him playing this season, as they put sort of his personal health as the top priority over any availability for a football game.
How serious was it at the time? Did you know anything was going on? Was this something as you said, Mike, he just wasn't feeling well? I mean, what prompted them to do the further checks and all that?
A good question, Hardy, because as reporters, you've seen us there. We check off all the players when they're at practice or not. And sometimes when a player's not at practice, maybe he's a little sick today, right? He's not feeling well, or he's got a slight ailment or something. So there was nothing, I don't believe, that any of the reporters, and we had a lot of great reporters covering the team, had any indication it was this serious. So there's more information maybe to learn as to sort of the details of what went down, but sounded like, they could have got scary if they weren't vigilant on taking care of him.
So now we're in a situation we're all very happy he's okay, but the defense, which is supposed to be the strength of the team this season, is missing one of their most important players.
That's right, John. And then you couple that with, so last year, the three defensive tackles, the top guys were Devon Godchow, Lawrence Guy, Christian Barmore. So now you're without two of your top three guys from last year. So if we want to say the defense was, very good last year, this is at the heart of the defense. And Godchow, as we've talked about, is angling for a new contract. So what does that look like? And how does this maybe possibly affect that situation? To me, you're losing one of your best defensive players. As we saw, the Patriots paid him a significant money in a contract extension, which told us that they viewed him as an emerging star. So a big hit.
In terms of today's practice, first padded practice, we've seen and heard some good things on Drake May so far. Things do tend to change, though, when the pads come on. What are you expecting today? And have I been hearing correctly about how Drake May has looked so far?
Love it, Hardy. I think on Drake, I think what I would say is what you'd expect for a rookie, up and down. Yesterday, Hardy, I thought was not his best. But you don't, we've been around long enough to not sound alarms after one practice where, the ball was maybe coming out of his hand a little hot and passes were spraying around a little bit more than you would think, But then there's other plays, Hardy, where you look at it and it's down the field on the first practice to Jalen Reagor. Okay. And it's the deep ball, and it gives you that feeling, okay, this is why he's the number 3 pick, So a little up and down. I think for me on the quarterbacks and the offense, why the pads are so important is the running game. Because I'm going to be honest, guys, when you watch the Patriots skill position players, there's no one player that you look at and from a pure physical traits standpoint, where you say like, wow, you know, like it's that fast, or it's that big, or it's that strong. But so I think they need the running game to help them open up the passing game. And there's no way to work on the running game until you get in full pads. And I should add, like, maybe Pop Douglas is one where you say, wow, with some of his quickness in the inside part of the field. And we haven't seen him yet, as he's been limited with what he said yesterday was a minor hand injury.
Okay.
Update us on the offensive line, which has been a revolving door for tackles, especially on the left side. But I'm
not.
Well, and I was just getting to that. We had the same left tackle in back-to-back practices. So where are we with the offensive line?
So, John, I think, to me, outside of Drake May, this is the most important story for the Patriots, because if they can't protect up front, like, none of the other stuff even matters, or just like we were talking about with the running game. So, well, I think it's interesting. Through the first 4 practices, they've kept their left guard, Sidy Sow, their center, David Andrews, and their right guard, Mike Owenu, intact through all 4 practices. So Mike Owenu, like, I think fans tuning in might be interested to know, hey, they re-signed him this offseason. He played right tackle last year. Well, through the first 4 practices, they have locked him in at right guard. So what has that meant? They've been, rotating with the tackles with 4 different players. And the last 2 days, they locked in with the same combination at tackle with Caden Wallace, the 3rd-round pick out of Penn State, at left tackle, and Chuks Okorafor, their veteran free agent signing at right tackle. Like, let's see if it sticks. Let's see what it looks like in full pads. This might be their best chance, to put together a line that would be better than last year, when they finished 32nd last in the NFL in pass block win rate.
All right. Might sound dumb, but if Owenu is one of the most talented offensive linemen that they have, I was always led to believe that right guard was not like a position in terms of offensive line of great importance. Like, if you judge like the left side of the line is more important. It's the blind side of the quarterback, and that tackle is a more important position than guard. Why is Owenu at right guard, do you believe?
Yeah, and I don't think it's dumb at all, Fred. I actually think it's a great discussion because, like, if you look at the draft, usually the draft tells us that tackles are prioritized more than guards, right? They usually drafted higher. So why is he a guard? I think part of it is he's better fit, like his traits and his physical skills are probably more suited for guard, where he could be like a 10 out of 10 guard. Whereas if you put him at tackle, he might be, when he maxes out, he might be a 7 out of 10 tackle. So that's sort of the first thing I would say. And then the second thing is like, you want to get your best 5 linemen on the field, which is what the coaches are stressing over the first week of camp. And the pieces maybe fit where they feel like, look, we can get these 2 tackles, and we feel like with those 2 tackles and the 3 interior guys, those are our best 5.
Can you note what are some of the differences you notice? Because this is, I mean, you've been to camps for the Patriots where Belichick wasn't coach.
Yeah.
But now that you've been to a few of these practices, does it seem dramatically different, or does it still feel familiar to you?
So I'm going to say it's dramatically different, Fred, and it's obviously a little bit of both, but I like to give you a decisive answer. Like, some differences. They're playing music throughout the practice. I know that sounds sort of like silly to say, but like, so when you turn the volume of the music up, it just creates like a different energy or vibe at practice. Under Belichick, you used to have it on during warmups. It would come down, and I don't want to say like to create more of a business-like vibe, but it would come down. You wouldn't hear it, and then it would come back up when they would do like competitive drills. Mm-hmm. So that's one example. I think another example is we're seeing more like competitive drills, where I think that reflects what Gerard Mayo wants his team to be about. Hey, one man against another man, who wins? and trying to develop the culture through that way. And so I think those are a couple that come to mind. And I would say one thing that I'm watching as like after seeing Belichick for 24 years, when a player made a mistake, he would often send them on a lap, or there'd be like quick, like you might hear yelling. I will say I have not heard a lot of yelling. I saw one lap, and like yesterday, Javon Baker a rookie receiver caught a long pass. Beautiful, probably the play of the day. And I don't know if you guys saw, probably a lot of us reported on that. Maybe lesser report on was after the play, he threw that ball so high up in the air that if officials were there, it would be a 15-yard penalty. And I'm not sure. Maybe the coaches addressed it. And it's hard for me to say, like, if Belichick was there, I wonder if he would have got reamed out for that. Like, great play, but you just cost the team 15 yards. And so I'm just keeping an eye on, like, details like that.
Yeah.
As we go forward.
All right, Mike Reiss, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. He is at Pat's camp as things unfold. He will be there to report on Drake May, the offensive line, all the questions that are going on. Mike Reiss, read and watch him, everything on ESPN. He's the guy. Mike Reiss, thank you so much for the time, sir.
Always great being with you guys. Have a great rest of the show.
Thanks, Mike.
Right, thank you, Mike. And don't you worry, the rest of the show is going to be on fire. It's going to be red hot. You guys going out to camp? You guys going to go sit on the hill? You miss it, Hardy? You miss being at camp?
A little bit. Wallach and I were talking about it while you were off doing God knows what. I think I'm going down.
Push-ups.
Going down today. Starts at 11. I'm like, okay.
Pads on. This is the practice to watch right here.
You're going to go down on your own volition?
Yeah.
Just to hang out?
Yeah. Got my credential. All set to go.
Look at you.
Got your face on it? Are you bringing binocs? Are you going to sit on the hill? Are you going to sit with the boys?
Oh, yeah, his face is look at that.
Look at that, and it's
he's
his
on
headshot.
The hill. Oh, he's on the hill. Well, he might be in the tent. Might be in the tent with everybody else. Yeah. That's reporters get the tent.
You're gonna head down there in Glad Hand. You're gonna see your boys. You're gonna talk Jaws with that one fella.
They're awfully busy doing their nonstop, no breaks, Patriots.com, Patriots Unfiltered. So they can't be bothered in the middle of the show.
Oh, okay.
So they're up on the perch, not far from where the Sports Hub is perched.
So you're just going to soak in the atmosphere.
I did enjoy being at camp and seeing some stuff, and you get a different sense. There was a lot of that last year when they were talking about the quarterback battle and how how Mac Jones looked versus Bailey Zappi and how things were going, and you would immediately, Fred, me, you, anybody, and I don't know much, but you can watch 3 reps of each, and you could immediately tell last year, even though it proved to be fruitless, like who the starter was going to be. It's like, oh, okay. Now, Zappi, yeah, sure, he didn't look bad, but there's one guy out there who looked on the field even during 7-on-7s, much less when the pads came on. It's like, that guy's a starting quarterback.
Speaking of that guy, real quick, you see Mac Jones highlights from Jacksonville practice?
No.
Still throwing picks.
No, good for him.
Still throwing picks right there.
But if you're
No
looking
question.
for, I mean, last year that's what we were talking about. Like who's going to be the guy, and there was a lot of discussion about as to whether or not there was going to be.
Let's save this for a second because we have to break, and I like what you're saying, and also you get to see Joey Milton.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You'll be able to see that. So we'll do that, a little Olympics, and then we'll get into the disaster that is Dwayne Wade on the television.
Sports Hub headlines.
Red Sox now 2-7 since the All-Star break. They lost to the Yankees last night, 8-2 at Fenway Park. Nick Pivetta faces Seattle at Fenway tonight. Patriots announced yesterday starting defensive lineman Christian Barmore is out indefinitely with blood clots.
Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And you might not be a huge fan of the show, and I can understand why, because even my son thought this was funny. Last Tuesday, the Eddie Trunk show, because you're playing Van Halen right now. 3-hour show. 3-hour show. Eddie Trunk show, broadcast on Hardy's own Sirius XM.
Yeah.
Can be heard in Canada, all 50 states. Many more people have access to it than we do. The President of the United States could be listening to it right now when he's not farting. Big wet one from Biden the other night. Big wet fart from Biden. No reason to play it. You heard it.
Unhealthy sounding.
No. The man made the right decision. Hand the reins to someone else. You farted. Loud and wet. But Eddie Trunk, guys, just so you know you have something to reach for, did 3 hours of open phones, top 10 Sammy Hagar songs.
Come on. Huh? Go. The people are going to do the work on this one. Light them up.
So my son said, what is this crap? I was dropping him off at something, and he goes, what is this crap? What are you listening to? And he never says that. And I said, well, it's Eddie Trunk. It's the top 10 Sammy Hagar songs of all time. And he goes, well, you can only play the songs. There's only 10 of them, and then what's he going to do? I said, oh, he's not playing the songs. He's having people say their top 10 Sammy Hagar songs. And he goes, how much do you think he gets paid? I go, money. I drop him off, pick him back up an hour later. I go, look what I'm listening to. And he goes, he's still doing it. And I go, oh, yeah, he is. Yeah. Are you going to go crazy, put a Montrose song number one? Oh, boy. 3 hours. Oh, Hachi, Machi.
3 hours of Sammy Hagar top 10s.
But the next day he was interviewing Joe Satriani.
Oh,
I mean, he had a little flexibility. The guy can't have an A-lister on every day. All right, what were you saying? So Hardy's going down to Patriots camp today. What were you saying, Hardy, before we went to break?
You can get a lot out of a little bit of time there at camp, and even from someone like me. Now, I had the benefit of sitting there and watching this with Zoe and guys like Mike Reiss.
Yeah.
And Breer would be down there. And those guys really know what to look for. But even just like an untrained eye, when you're sitting there watching a couple of quarterbacks and they'll take reps, sometimes it's one after the other. And sometimes it'll be 5-6 reps, and then you watch the next guy. You get a much better sense of who can do what, even in that setting, in 20 minutes of watching a camp practice than you can from reading and listening to other analysis. And, you start going through this is the thing that I laugh at. We use it. We talk about it. They'll do the training camp stats. And, who was 5 for 7 and 7 on 7. And then he was, but then he was 8 for 9 and 11 on 11. A lot of these passes, especially with the newer guys and the rookies, there'll be screens. There'll be passes out into the flat that aren't covered.
Check down.
Check down, stuff like that. You can get a much better sense. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to predict what the season is going to be like, right? Not even in terms of like wins and losses, but who's going to be playing and how do you think they're going to look? And I think if you were at, maybe 2 camp practices last year, you would have known that Mac Jones was going to start. That it was not going to be a competition, that it was going to be him getting the ball. Now okay, that has nothing to do with what happened later.
No. I'm not. No, I'm interested in actually in the part about the camp. So what about Mac Jones in particular? Because and the reason it's interesting is because he's not like this physical specimen.
Nope.
And Bailey Zappi's not either. What about Mac Jones made him stand out?
It's almost I would say, non-physical things. The way he comes up to the line, the way he runs the offense, and the way you can tell him he's got a comfort level or had a comfort level that no one else had last year.
That's interesting.
Right?
That wasn't Zappi's rookie year. That's interesting.
Yeah, so you watch a guy out there acting and behaving, and this was always a big thing for Zoe, but at that point in camp, it has a lot to do with it. Who looks like they belong out there? Who looks like they are, especially at the quarterback position where you're not trying to show off necessarily your physical skills, who's going to go out there and not get rattled and can just go out there and do this job?
It's like you were saying, Hardy, those of us who have not been to camp yet, you read all the stats, you read what, Andrew Callahan says, Mike Reiss says, and you get a picture of Drake May being far and away better than Jacoby Brissett. And every highlight you see is Drake May hitting this guy, and this guy, when in reality, it's much, much closer.
And I would like to see what Jacoby Brissett looks like because my gut tells me going in, if you're watching the two guys right now, it's at least equal, or Brissett might be the one that looks more like a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. And so
how does he come up to the line? How does he get under center? How does he check the coverages? And what does the play look like from there? It may not be great. He may not wow you with a pass to Rager down the sideline, but who's the guy that you can envision being under center?
Who's the guy who won't turn the ball over?
Well, but beyond that, I think what he's saying, John, is that Drake May certainly is the more of his physicality, like what he can do physically, the way he moves, his arm strength. Those things would be much stronger, but not even turning the ball over or anything.
If it were
just the command of the offense and the way in the way he carries himself and those things, very interesting.
Yeah, if it were a physical contest like the guy's name who I couldn't remember, Jake Dolagala.
Yes.
He was the guy that's like, if you're just having
Dolagala was a practice squad quarterback, Central Connecticut State.
That was the guy who could throw the ball,
huge guy, mammoth
into Walpole.
Yeah.
But he never even got a rep, not on the big field, because no, he's not a quarterback. He's not an NFL starting quarterback, and you would know if all you looked at was arm strength stats. Like, how come this guy's not playing? Go to camp, you'll see.
Joe Milton.
Well, you could have been the Raiders and drafted Jamarcus Russell. You guys could throw 60 yards from a knee, but I don't think that he could remember 2 words of a play, let alone the cadence and everything else. All right, we'll be right back. Dwayne Wade broadcast yesterday. Big U.S. Olympic game.
Yes.
The U.S. Olympics is doing a lot of fun stuff. They got a lot of fun people involved. They're getting the kids involved. And Dwayne Wade was absolutely terrible. And we will have that for you in just a moment.
For the winners, Rob Refsnyder and Connor Wong provided the Sox offense by hitting back-to-back homers in the fourth. Sox have lost 7 of their first 9 games coming out of the All-Star break. They play Seattle at Fenway tonight. Tampa Bay traded All-Star third baseman Isaac Paredes to the Cubs yesterday, and they got back third baseman Christopher Morel and 2 minor leaguers. The trade deadline arrives at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Patriots defensive lineman Christian Barmore is out indefinitely. He's been diagnosed and treated for blood clots. The NFL Network is reporting the team originally became concerned when they saw a bruise on the back of his calf. Training camp continues this morning behind Gillette Stadium, and the pads will be on for the first time for the Patriots. At the Summer Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team won their opener.
Edwards.
Oh, give him that work. Give him that work.
Oh,
Give him that work.
Anthony Edwards.
He went to the Tom Crean School. Give him that work.
Put him in the blender. Edwards.
That's Noah Eagle and Dwayne Wade on NBC yesterday. The U.S. scored a 110-84 victory over Serbia. Kevin Durant came off the bench in his debut. He scored a team-high 23 points. Jason Tatum didn't play at all in a big surprise. Next game for Team USA, South Sudan on Wednesday. And the U.S. women's basketball team plays Japan today in their opener. And the U.S. women's soccer team is now 2-0 after a 4-1 win over Germany. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Scoring the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Yeah, Hardy. What do you mean, Hardy?
Okay, so Foghat had the song Slow Ride.
Yeah,
And
Slow Ride, Take It Easy. It's awesome.
And as a means to irk Dan O'Brien, I would never refer to Acoustic Sunrise by its proper name. I would call it the Sunday Morning Slow Ride. And just saying Slow Ride, and especially Sunday Morning Slow Ride, now he's going to go to a dark place. Dan is.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Nope. I'm in a good mood today, Fred. John's got me in a good mood.
You're all tan. I will tell you that.
Thank you.
You got a beautiful York Beach tan.
Thank you. Dan the Wagon Man tan.
Let's not bury the lead here. Wallach put you in a good mood?
Absolutely.
Wallach has never put anyone in any mood.
Nope. Put me in a very good mood today.
What did John do?
Yeah.
Well, at one point when I was in the studio and I went to go change the channel on the TV, he said, "What are you even doing in here?" So I left. And I said, "Well, that put me in a good mood."
John's become Andrew Dice Wallach.
Dan came in here and changed the TV that he wasn't watching. So I was just wondering what he was doing.
And Dan's got a bit of an OCD problem, let's be honest. Dan,
a bit.
Dan, okay, the station.
He changed it off of
the
news.
station who complained, this company that complains about money, you wouldn't believe the money they complain about.
Oh, I believe.
When they moved to this building, they, in their ultimate wisdom, bought, no joke, like 1,000 TVs. No, seriously, like 60 televisions.
There's still an office with about 10 of them in there.
Yeah,
still in boxes.
They probably worked some marvelous deal with their incredible brain power. But they have TVs in dumbass places like nooks. And anyway.
The kitchen.
Yeah, but you think the kitchen, like people have TVs in the kitchen because they sit in there. There's nowhere to sit. They're idiots. So anyway, Dan's got to walk around every morning for no reason and flip the channels.
Well, there's a reason
on the TV.
There's a reason, Fred.
The reason is because if you don't, you'll have a heart attack.
I was going to say a stroke, but same thing.
Yep.
If you don't, someone will drop the bomb. So there you go.
But Wallach put him in a good... Out of the 4 people that live in Wallach's house, I would say Wallach is the one that is either least likely or has never changed anyone else's mood. Like if mommy's in a bad mood, everyone's in a bad mood.
Well, John is in a very submissive relationship. John, you are the beta in that relationship. Is that not true?
Oh, of course it is.
And I don't mean this in a sitcom kind of way.
My wife runs a house.
And not in a cuck way.
No.
Well, not like there's another person around and he's in the corner.
That's a little different.
Hello.
You might want to get that.
Hello.
It's not me.
It's not me.
It's me. Sorry,
It's
guys.
John.
Oh my God! It's me.
How did you hear that?
I needed the headphones for that.
It was.
He'll go to HR if you complain.
That's right.
He's got
you
a disability.
Deserve it, you bastard.
He's got a disability. All right. So anyway, Dan's got to turn all the TVs. We've never discussed it before, but we've never discussed it even amongst ourselves. I don't think we've ever had this conversation even between the three of us with Dan not involved. Dan's got this weird compulsion to turn the TVs to certain channels in the morning. It's very odd. Even in TVs he's never going to watch.
Nope.
But John,
thank God we have these TVs.
I
wonder how many jobs that'll cost.
I think maybe I'm picking on Wallach because I think it's the same thing in my house. Like if I'm in a bad mood, no one else is in a bad mood along with me.
That's
no
correct.
No one is walking on eggshells because of it. If I'm in a good mood, nobody asks me. It's like, what are you so happy about? It's like I feel rather inconsequential to the whole like atmosphere of the house.
The temperature in the house changes when Marcy gets upset. That's what you're saying.
Or even one of the kids.
Yeah.
And depending on which kid, if one kid is really upset, that's funny. That I think that's the general mood of the house. It's like, look who's mad.
Well, you have a daughter, so I would imagine that several occasions where there might be a bit of feigning anger or sadness.
There's a lot. There's a lot of emotion, but you know what? We love, and that's the most important emotion. We all love.
You know, it's funny
We all love each
for 28 minutes every day there will be this arc of a little bit of conflict, but at the end of that half an hour, we're all hugging.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
It's just it's funny how life imitates art. All right, the Olympics are going on, if you didn't know, and the USA men's basketball team played a team from a Baltic nation that has Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, at some point, someone said that they were going to be a pretty good team. And then I looked at the team and I said, who's on this team but Jokic? Did you see the Japanese team, by the way?
I have not looked.
So there's I don't even know if you're supposed to say African-American because he's Japanese, but there's an African-American gentleman on the team. But he's got a Japanese, and I'm like, oh, I wonder why he's on the team, but he's got a Japanese name. I believe he's from Japan.
Oh. It was U.S.
Interesting, huh?
Very. I thought I didn't care, but it turns out I do.
Yeah, this is fascinating, isn't it?
So Serbia and the U.S. men's team, they play yesterday. Noah Eagle and Dwayne Wade are on the call. Now, according to one report, they
No relation to John, by the way.
No, not at all. They had received some early praise for their easygoing manner, and they seemed to have some kind of a rapport. But this was the first time, I watched any of it, with any length. And it was on early yesterday, so that worked out. Like, all right, 11:15 a.m.
I was on the airplane coming back from Charleston, and I said, I'll check out I saw someone else had it on. I didn't know it was on. I saw someone else had it on because it was a hot dude, so I was checking him out.
Nice.
But then I turned it on, and I was like, I'm going to watch this for 2 minutes because I hope the USA loses, and they'll probably win. Oh, no, I didn't turn the channel, and there's one reason, and that man is Dwayne Wade.
Right, and normally I let the announcers wash over me, and I don't get affected by it as much as a lot of people do. Dwayne Wade is kind of hard to ignore. First of all, Fred, he loves him some pop culture references.
Hangs, leaves it. Booker, a three. It's in.
It's pretty. It's so pretty.
Hold that up there. Approaching the midway point of the first, and Booker will be called for the foul.
Did you notice that was a white man can't jump reference?
I did. That's why I
that was a double entendre because that was for you as well.
I was ready to say, we going Sizzler. We going Sizzler. As long as you don't call me a chump, we're good.
No, never.
I have to say, and I'll say it at the beginning, I'll say it at the end, Dwayne Wade is not terrible when it's about the basketball.
Just everything else.
Everything else. And if you have to explain your reference, it was one of the best tips I ever got way early in my career. And they're like, never explain the reference. Don't say, that's from Seinfeld. Michael Scott does it on The Office. That tells you that's something you should never do.
No. The great comedians all tell jokes and then they explain them.
Right. In case you didn't notice when I said, it's so pretty, that was from White Men Can't Jump. Thank you, Dwayne.
And that's synonymous with White Men Can't Jump. Whenever I think of White Men Can't Jump, I think of that line in particular. Is we going Sizzler from White Men Can't Jump too?
I think that's Kadeem Hardison, yes.
I think of the underdeveloped plot line of Rosie Perez being a drunk. That to me, that doesn't get explored enough. She's an alcoholic. In that movie, Fred.
I didn't remember that.
She is.
Really?
She's chugging straight vodka. And it just really doesn't get, mentioned or really explored.
In fact, she's kind of like the victim in the whole thing. She's she's the person who's having all the bad things happen to her.
And the extraordinary comedy where the couple does not end up together. Most comedies end with the couple together.
Yeah, that's a Stripe situation, White Men Can't Jump, where the second half of the movie, it loses a tremendous amount of momentum. No one remembers the second half of Stripes after they do the...
No.
That's a fact, Jack.
That's a fact, Jack.
They go to Italy and then it goes crazy.
And they get in the motorhome. That's no good.
Yeah, but I think White Men Can't Jump is sort of the same thing. It's a good idea at first. And
where would you have stopped it?
When I stopped paying attention. It's interesting that, because I think as white people, we all fantasize about all thinking, people thinking we wouldn't be good at basketball and then going out and dominating. And it's sort of funny at first. And then I think when he gets ripped off by when they
go to Watts. Yeah.
I think that's kind of when it loses its momentum. And I never really cared about Woody Harrelson and Rosie Perez. And the fact that they don't end up together is annoying. I could do without the whole second half of White Man Can't Jump.
But then you don't know what happens in their big 2-on-2 tournament with Duck Johnson and Eddie the King Faroux.
You've seen that movie a few times. All right,
I had to look it up. I could only remember Duck Johnson.
We will. Let's see if Cotillo can do 840. We will be back. We will explore more of Dwayne Wade's performance during yesterday's Olympic Games.
Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. The Olympics are going on. In fact, field hockey is on right now.
I think they just call it hockey in the Olympics, don't they?
Is that right?
Women's hockey.
All right. Well, women's hockey. I don't like that because there's women's ice hockey, and there is a distinction between the two sports. I'll have to talk to the Olympic Committee about that. Don't worry, they'll be getting a letter.
You know what it is? It's like calling the University of Nevada, calling it UNR or University of Nevada, Reno. They do not like that. They are the University of Nevada. If you have to differentiate, the only thing you say is either Nevada or UNLV. That is...
I see.
The real University of Nevada is in Reno, and then like the
Correct.
offshoot. So it's like UMass is Andover, and then every other UMass is a satellite campus.
Well, Amherst, yeah.
Amherst.
Yeah.
Yeah. The real UMass is in Amherst, and everything else is a satellite
You
campus.
said Andover. And everybody was like, freaking idiot, Fred.
Yeah.
Amherst.
Don't email me. Please. Please, you'll just cause a lot of problems.
But you don't say, it's just like you don't say U of M Ann Arbor.
No, because if you go to U of M Dearborn, that's the real campus. All right. Dwayne Wade was calling basketball yesterday. He did him and the young Iron Eagle, who's very talented. His son is very young, and he's doing these Olympic Games. Dwayne Wade, if you don't know, is a Hall of Fame basketball player. And Hardy, we played the White Man Can't Jump reference. What else did he do?
Yes, and then we went down a conversational rabbit hole about White Men Can't Jump. And now that we've dug ourselves out of that, maybe another movie reference from Dwayne Wade?
There's LeBron James sits and Bam Adebayo checks in. Are we calling him Bam or are we calling him Bamonte? What's the official rule here?
His mama called him Bam. I'm going to call him Bam. But I might slip in a Bamonte here and there.
All right. So
I don't get any of that. What's going on?
That's Coming to America. His mama named him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. Cassius Clay. So, all right, whatever. He's pretty much innocuous, inoffensive to this point. Now, some people were actually offended by this. The only thing that offends me about it was let's just say the repetition. So this happened in the first half, the first time Dwayne Wade went to this particular commentating choice.
And deep bounce, LeBron James.
Y'all know his pronouns. We'll talk about it more later. Y'all know his he, him. Y'all know his pronouns.
So some people didn't know what to make of that. Is he making light of people posting their pronouns now on Instagram and all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So,
yes, 100 times yes.
But
why won't he get with the times? The hell's wrong with him?
But people took offense to that, and it was brought up in one article on Awful Announcing, your favorite website, Fred.
If I get shot, they will be partially responsible.
This has gained traction in recent years, the practice of calling out one's preferred pronouns, but it's also part of a common slang term to proclaim one's greatness. He is him.
Right.
As in the chosen one.
May I step in? But if that in the past was slang, now that we are in our current times of it being something that you do to give your pronouns, I believe we should punish anyone who uses the slang of old for not evolving with the times. Dan, if you would, get my pen. I'm about to dictate you a letter to send to the people of NBC.
Take dictation.
And if they have the right boss, they'll listen.
So he went to the he-him thing for LeBron. Okay, you did it once. That's cute. Same quarter, second quarter, Kevin Durant.
2 for an opportunity here. Durant takes advantage.
Okay.
Kevin Durant is making it rain in Lille.
Listen, y'all, America, y'all know him as Kevin Durant. I know him personally. His pronouns are he, him.
Okay.
Same quarter.
Yeah, what he wrote that down beforehand. You know he did. And I don't quite get why going to the well several times for something that's not funny. Go back and watch Oberman and Patrick on SportsCenter, and at the time they made a lot of money, and at the time they put that SportsCenter on the map. And hats off to them, talented broadcasters who've done more in broadcasting than I'll ever do in my entire life. Go back and watch them. It's corny as hell, really corny. Kilborn's the only one who kind of stands up still, but it's corny. But that was, 30, 35 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like enough with enough, stop. Stop with it.
It's like they pulled him out of the crowd. He had no idea who was going to do this. They pulled him out of the crowd. Wait, quick, we're short a guy, Dwayne. Sit down. That's what it sounds like to me.
So he uses the he-him joke, whatever
In fairness
it's supposed
to
be.
Dwayne Wade, though, he has a child who is transgender. So now I am really, really confused because I'm still angry at him. But he does have a child who's transgendered.
Sure.
Which I just so.
But
this
I don't
is
think that
something-
should get in my anger, the way of my anger.
Yeah, this is something that should not be taken lightly. The only thing that offends me is that he went to the same bad joke twice in one quarter. He certainly wouldn't do it a third time in the third quarter.
James, get out of his way for two.
Get off that man. Look at that man. Look at that man. America, you know him as LeBron James. I know him personally. His pronouns is he, him.
The same phrase for Durant and LeBron James. Listen to him back to back here, Fred.
America, y'all know him as Kevin Durant. I know him personally. His pronouns are he, him. America, you know him as LeBron James. I know him personally. His pronouns is he, him.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Can I tell you something, too? Having been in the business for a while, not only did he write that down, he said that into a mirror. Because I'll have you play it again, and ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to it, his intonation and the way he delivers the line, the volume of his voice, he goes, I know him personally, and his pronouns are he, him.
That's right.
So he not only wrote it down, something that's not funny or interesting, he practiced how he was going to say it. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm 100% on this. I'd almost bet a finger on it. Listen to how he says it both times and tell me he didn't practice beforehand.
America, y'all know him as Kevin Durant. I know him personally. His pronouns are he, him. America, you know him as LeBron James. I know him personally. His pronouns is he, him.
Giving a little up on the him.
But
the last time.
he goes down, to kind of like, and now I'm speaking with reverence.
Yeah, so there you go. Dwayne Wade is terrible at his job. And by the way, Jason Tatum did not play in the game yesterday.
So this is, more weirdness, and I didn't think things could get weirder after the opening ceremonies on Friday night. I don't know if you got a chance to see any
I did
of
not
them, Fred?
see any of the opening ceremonies. I know that that Gojira Band played, and I know that the Snoop Dogg was there.
Okay, so the opening ceremonies, they had them on boats going down the river, and it was raining, and it was terrible. And, you see the smaller countries. By the way, many countries I did not know were countries. Never heard of that country's name before.
Yeah, that's your xenophobia showing.
Several of them, sure, of course.
Yeah, me and the kids get around every night, and we just get a globe out.
Yeah, get the almanac out and start, poking around at stuff. But, all right, you're watching the boats go by, but interspersed with that are these artistic performances that are part of the opening ceremonies. There was somebody in a fencing mask that appeared to be on some kind of a quest to either steal the torch or take the torch away.
Don't let him.
There was an opera singer.
Hinder his efforts.
On top of a church that was, I'm sure, not really singing, but we're all supposed to believe that this person is mic'd up and singing so that we can all hear them. Mm-hmm. And then it all culminated with 12 of these characters from out this long opening ceremony gathered around at a Last Supper-style table. Very offensive to the Christians.
Yes, because
they did not like that at all.
If you're familiar about the Old Testament, let me fill you in. Okay, starts off. God makes a lady. Listen to me.
Now, Genesis, in the beginning.
Hang on. Let me get to it.
Okay.
I'll explain to you. Because
Well, if you're going to start at the beginning, start at the beginning.
The reason you don't get it is because you don't know the story of the Bible.
Okay.
You know the Last Supper like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'll tell you the story of the creation of God.
Okay.
God makes a lady. Real long hair. She's stuck on a tower. In comes a guy, fencer, mask and everything. Grabs the lady's hair, climbs up, gets it down.
That's Ecclesiastes. Okay.
Yeah. And then Leviticus, they all go out, and then they go, wouldn't you know, there's a bunch of people dining. Take a seat. And that's why it's called the Golden Corral.
Oh.
Joshua Judges. Ruth.
Got it.
Exactly. So your ignorance, I don't blame you. I'm teetering on being offended. Not there yet. I will get with my people. I'll draft an email maybe to send. But what I will do is that I will tell you that your ignorance does not bother me, but that is what they were going for. I didn't see it, but obviously the opera singer, it was the invention of woman. The fencer was the invention of man. He climbs up. Then they find a pea. And everyone makes fun of the guy. They're like, what are you going to do with that pea? And he goes, I'm going to, and then a big beanstalk comes up. And then there's that. And
Princess and the Pea.
I thought there was a mattress involved.
Yeah,
that's an Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's a couple that goes up a hill. There's a lot of things going on with this.
So as weird as that was on Friday night, I thought it was pretty weird that Tatum didn't make it into that game yesterday. And obviously they have an embarrassment of talent on that roster. But Tatum doesn't play, just didn't play. Didn't need him? Didn't want him? Didn't like the matchup?
Well, Brian Windhorst cornered Steve Kerr and, of course, asked him all the pressing questions of the day. Apparently, Kerr said because Durant returned, that lessened minutes for Tatum and the matchups weren't good. But Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton didn't play.
And went to Bam Adebayo instead of Tatum.
Yes. Apparently Adebayo and Davis playing the double big. That and Durant's return took minutes away from just Tatum.
And I like Grant Hill, but boy, did he make a mistake with Jaylen Brown. They said, Jaylen Brown, they talked to him about it, and he said, well, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, he was on with Dan Patrick on Friday. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean, if you want to be heard, go on the Dan Patrick show. Again, no disrespect to Dan Patrick. I have no idea how you consume that product. I don't know what Dan Patrick's on.
In 1 minute long versions that get posted online.
They don't even come to me. That's the Rich Eisen show where he just asked the obvious question about the movie.
Right.
I don't really know.
Oh, God. I was thinking, how'd you know I was thinking that? You're right. I don't know. Yeah.
Like,
how do you get the Dan Patrick show anywhere?
Again, I'm a loser. I'm a piece of garbage. Fine. Lose my job. I don't care. But the thing is that I really don't understand how you get the Dan Patrick show. To my knowledge, it's not on the radio. To my knowledge, it's not on satellite radio. But if it is, it's on a channel that is very hidden.
I found it on DirecTV. You know what I'm talking? DirecTV.
But no one has DirecTV anymore.
I
because
know.
There's no reason.
That's the only place I would ever see it.
Yeah, exactly. So now that no one has DirecTV because they don't have the Sunday ticket anymore,
that's right.
And there's literally not a reason to have DirecTV. I mean, there's no reason to have DirecTV. They have nothing of any value. They don't even need a satellite anymore for DirecTV, apparently, according to the birds and the ads. I don't know how you would do it. So anyway, Grant Hill was on, I guess, the Dan Patrick show.
Yes, and he took 3 minutes to describe why Jaylen Brown wasn't on the team, and it was the double big thing we were talking about because Durant wasn't there. They were able to try Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo, and that worked. So we needed an on-ball defender, and Derek White's one of the best in the world at it. And he went on and on and on and on.
As opposed to Jaylen Brown, who struggled so mightily defensively against Luka
Doncic in the NBA Finals.
Yeah. And then, but whatever. So that's why he did it. But then he goes, Jalen's a conspiracy theorist. Like, you already left him off the Olympic team. Just leave him alone. Say the reason, whatever. Like, you needed an on-ball defender, whatever. That's basketball stuff. Why do you say he's a conspiracy theorist? Why would you say anything about him out of line, like out of turn? You've already embarrassed the guy. You've already done what Nike told you to do, and now you're going to pile on. And I like Grant Hill, and I don't think Grant Hill's like a dumb guy. I think he's in way over his head with this thing. They've overthought everything. They've given Nike too much power. It's too much. It's too much. All right, there's a correction for me. Peter, go ahead.
Hey, Fred. Grant kind of walked into it a little bit, but he said that what he said was that there wasn't a conspiracy to keep Jaylen Brown off the team. He didn't call him a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
So the lady doth protest too much, I think, with Jaylen Brown there. Kind of filled the gap there.
Okay, so because explain Jaylen Brown. What did Jaylen Brown do? I'll let you explain to the people.
Well, Jaylen was tweeting, something along the lines of that. Obviously, he thought for, maybe his big brain of his was too much for the team to handle or something.
Well, he said that he was like ashamed that he's not a conspiracy
Grant
theorist.
Hill calling me a conspiracy theorist is disappointing. I've been a VP since I was 21 years old, and I have a great understanding.
He didn't call him he didn't say theorist, though. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Peter. I did not hear the whole quote.
Now,
because
Peter,
how did you? But yeah, that's his question. Peter, how did you hear the Dan? I thank you for the correction. I really sincerely believe it. Mean it. Sure. How did you hear the Dan Patrick Show?
Oh, no, I read it on Reddit.
Okay. There you go. Thank you.
And the lady doth protest too much. Is that white men can't jump, or is that coming to America?
That's speed, I think.
It's Space Jam 2.
Let me ask you this, though, seriously, too. Do you know where you could watch or see or hear Dan Patrick?
Like Fox 5 or something. I have no idea.
Isn't that funny though? Like, and he'll get he's friends with Sandler and he's in all the movies, obviously. So it's a bad example, but he'll get like a big movie star. It's always fascinating to me because I don't know where you would hear them, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting. All right. And by the way, someone sent me an article about podcasts. It's just 2 seconds.
Oh, I got that.
Yeah.
In 20 podcasts make something like 60% of the money
of the podcast revenue.
Of the podcast revenue. 20 out of tens of thousands.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
hundreds
millions.
of thousands. Yeah,
gotta be
hundreds of thousands. Well, I don't know if they were counting ones that are backed by a company.
Oh yeah. Like no, they're not counting all the unsponsored ones.
Dude and Bird wasn't sponsored.
No, but I mean, but that's even sadder. Like the ones that are sponsored, there's tens of thousands of them in 20 make like 60% of like the revenue. It's not good. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines.
Gleyber Torres and Oswaldo Cabrera drove in 2 runs apiece. Yankees beat the Red Sox for the second time in 3 nights, 8-2 at Fenway Park last night. Red Sox homestand rolls on tonight against Seattle. Patriots defensive lineman Christian Barmore out indefinitely. He's been diagnosed and treated for blood clots. The NFL Network is reporting the team originally became concerned when they saw a bruise on the back of his calf. Training camp continues for the Patriots today at 11 a.m., and they will have the pads on for the first time. And the Summer Olympics continuing in Paris. The U.S. men's basketball team ran by Serbia yesterday in their opener 110-84. They play South Sudan on Wednesday. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
Here we go. Boom. I win. Boom.
Yeah.
Hit somebody.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, Duncan. They just released, and I don't know if that's fair. We are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And, Sean, what is it? The Red Sox have lost 7 of 9 since the break?
7 out of 9 coming out of the All-Star break. Yep.
Trade deadline is tomorrow, and I won't tell you everything that's going on. I will leave that to the expert. Chris Cotillo, our good friend, covers the Red Sox for MassLive.com. And he's kind enough to join us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Mr. Cotillo, hello, sir.
How are you guys?
We are doing well. Thank you. Thank you. God, thank you.
Very nice of you to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Cotillo.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, very good. All right, so here's the deal. I'm from what I'm reading, the big names from the Blue Jays, the White Sox, and the Tigers, the real big star players, especially pitchers, are not going to be available this trade deadline. Are you hearing the same thing?
Yeah, it seems like, Jeff Passan the other day wrote after Randy Arozarena got traded to Seattle that he might be the biggest name to move. I think there's reasons where you look at some of the other big names out there and why they might not. Garrett Crochet put, restrictions on his situation. He said he wouldn't pitch in the playoffs unless he got an extension. He said he wouldn't pitch in relief unless he got an extension. I think that scared some teams off. Skubal in Detroit, that price is going to be so high. A Red Sox person said the other day he thinks it would take 2 of the big 3 to get that done. And so even though he's a great fit for the Red Sox, a controllable kind of lefty ace.
Yeah, can I just interrupt real quick just to add to that? I had heard that Baltimore would have to give up Jackson Holliday, which is considered the biggest prospect in baseball, and other pieces. So for Skubal. So, and I don't know why the Tigers would trade him anyway. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then Toronto, they're moving some of their rentals, but they do want to contend next year. And so Guerrero and Bichette seem to be, off the market in that way. So it's the seller's market. The prices are super high. You've seen some of the relievers that have moved, Jason Adams to San Diego, even some lesser guys, Hunter Harvey to Washington. They've gotten pretty good hauls back. So if Arozarena is the biggest name to move, that might, be the case. But we always see kind of surprises late tomorrow and maybe a big name goes here or there. For the Red Sox, though, I think, quite to jumping ahead, but I think just, they've played their way into a place where we don't expect them to be among, the buyers going for the biggest moves. I think, around the margins like we've seen is most likely.
We were talking about this earlier, Chris. The price is just too high for relievers these days. The Red Sox don't have an appetite for that, considering the record, as you mentioned.
And do you think that's wrong? Do you think that they should have a bigger appetite? Because Chris, people are going to bitch. They've extended Cora, which people were bitching about. Do you think, given the prices, that the Red Sox should be active at the trade deadline?
I mean, you can always use more relief help. We've seen that really be the issue over the last 10 days in LA, in Colorado, and then this first series against the Yankees. Not just kind of the bit pieces, but Jansen, struggling a little bit here and there. But Chris Martin and Justin Slayton are going to be back probably around August 10th. Those are 2 guys that, are super important for the bullpen. I think once you have those 2 guys, everybody else falls in line. They'll pick their best 2 lefties out of Bernardino, Boozer, and Horn. Zach Kelly's a guy that, they like. And Cooper Criswell is now in the bullpen. They DFA Chase Anderson, who was their mop-up guy that kind of made, an upgrade in that regard with Criswell. So, they are getting help from within. I know that's a built-in excuse for them not to do anything, but I think at the end of the day tomorrow, or by the end of the day tomorrow, you'll see a couple of these rental relievers, a 35-year-old guy somewhere with a 3 ERA that is a pending free agent, and the team says, we're out of it. There's literally no point to keeping this guy. Give us a B or C level prospect and get the deal done. So it's not the top of the market. It's more of a depth move. I think that makes a lot of sense. But like I said, some of the moves that have already happened, Estevez going to Philly, Adam going to San Diego, the prices on those guys, super, super expensive for the top high leverage guys. Really, the Red Sox, as bad as it's been the last couple of weeks, there's a case to be made they don't need that. They have Jansen. They have, Martin, who is really, I know it's been a bad year, but probably, the best setup man in baseball last year. Slayton's the guy who had a pretty good first half. Kelly, like I said, Bernardino, at full strength. It's a pretty good group. That being said, we know that injuries always happen. And once the kind of deck of cards, you remove one, it seems to, screw everything else up. But I would guess that they'd add a reliever or two tomorrow just for a 6th, 7th inning guy, just to strengthen the group a little bit. But, to be thinking that they're going to give up a top prospect for it, doesn't make sense. Somebody like Emmanuel Valdez, a limited player who's on the verge of the majors for, maybe a reliever with a 1.5 year control. They were trying that for Nate Pearson of Toronto, who got moved to the Cubs over the weekend. Something like that makes a lot of sense. But, they have those guys I mentioned and Liam Hendriks, who I didn't mention even, coming back at some point. So the group is not as dire of a situation as it seems, or the last week would make it seem.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the prices already on the deals that have been done, which leads me to believe that as high as that price might be for, go back to Skubal for a second, as you wrote, Chris, if they wanted 2 out of the top 3 prospects, say they wanted Anthony and Mayer, that might not even get it done. And that's what would worry me. It's like, oh, if you have to convince yourself you want to go that high on a true, on getting an ace in here, not just a 3 ERA reliever. If you wanted to get someone like Skubal, that even that high price may not get it done.
Yeah, and to me, when you look at it, and the Red Sox have not shown a desire to do this over the past 5-6 years, really, but when you have a guy like Corbin Burns who's available on the free agent market, you can get a top of the rotation guy for money. I know it's a ton of it, but that's to me more attractive than trying to get a guy in Skubal who's probably a lesser pitcher. I know younger, I know left-handed, which fits your group a little bit better, but pay $200-something million for Corbin Burns, really just open the wallet. That's something John Henry hasn't done. Or look at somebody else in that realm, this offseason. And to me, they've gotten this far with Anthony, Meyer, Teal. I know they're no sure things. I know we've been hearing these names, and now Christian Campbell for years about how this is the core. But if you really look at it, position player-wise, they're set at, almost every position if those guys pan out. And it really comes down to what they'll do to really help the pitching staff. And so at this point, it's like, you're so close to the point where all those guys will be part of it. Does a guy like Skubal for 2 of them make that much sense? I don't think so. I don't think the Red Sox think so either.
Just in a broader sense for this season, Chris, do you really think that all of these guys, there are 4 or 5 of them that are playing so far beyond what we've seen in their careers so far? Can they finish this off for the rest of the season and keep this team in contention the rest of the way?
I think on the position player side, and Alex Cora's made this point pretty frequently, the athleticism is something that doesn't slump. So maybe Jarren Duran is not, seeing the ball as well as he was on the West Coast road trip where he's lacing doubles every at bat. But, he hits a bloop single, turns it into a hustle double, steals third, and scores a run, right? Like he's going to be able to do that. If he gets on base, he's going to be able to wreak havoc. I think the position players, a lot of them, there's going to be ups and downs. 1 week Rafael is going to hit and Abreu's not, and vice versa. The thing that should worry everybody, and it's obvious, is the pitching staff. We've seen these guys really start to hit the wall. Houck has not been as sharp as he was early in the year. It would be almost impossible to be because he was so good, but we've seen this over the last few starts. Bayo's actually pitched better, but an up and down year for him. Pivetta riding the roller coaster as always. And then, Cutter Crawford giving up 7 or 8 homers in his last 2 starts. So, you're looking at guys that are, exceeding their innings totals already. I think for the most part, stepped up for the first 4 months and pitched better than we thought they would, especially Houck and Crawford. But these are guys that are already, in the case of Houck, I think he's already thrown 20 more innings than he ever has in a major league season. And they don't have a choice. They can't, shut him down on September 1st if they're in this thing. And so, they're going to try to find ways to manage that. Right now, it's just kind of like he feels good. They're going to keep, throwing him out there. But his mechanics are out of whack, as he said last night. It seems like there is a fatigue factor, and it's not even August 1st yet. So, it's a delicate kind of house of cards with the pitching staff. The starters have been, really healthy for the course of the last 2 months. Obviously, Giolito and Whitlock out for the year, but, those 4 guys have taken every turn. Paxton helps it a little bit. I just think, you're 1 or 2 rotation injuries away from kind of a lookout below situation, which, it's hard because do they add a starter, another kind of depth piece by tomorrow to kind of protect against that? I don't know, because it's hard to bump any of those guys if they're healthy. You want Pivetta, Bayo, Crawford, and Houck in there and making their starts. So we'll see. I would guess the area of focus again is the bullpen, but if the price is right, it can't hurt to maybe grab somebody else.
All right, Chris Cotillo from MassLive.com, and upcoming the schedule for the Red Sox will have a lot to do with where they are. I mean, they and beyond the obvious, they play their direct wild card opposition coming up in the next few series. So exciting times for Red Sox fans. You should know. And Chris, as you know, people will bitch no matter what. If they make a big move, they'll say they gave up too much. And when they invariably don't make a big move, which they shouldn't, they will bitch that ownership doesn't care. And they might not care, but you can't gauge it by if they don't do something at the deadline. So there you go.
Yeah, the Danny Jansen trade over the weekend was basically like, I can't believe we gave up so much. Who are these guys that we gave up? That was basically the Twitter reaction to it. So we're used to it.
It's just so unique to the Red Sox. It's just this constant complaining for no reason. All right, Chris, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Right, there you go. Chris Cotillo from Mass Live. It should be interesting. They got Seattle, and then they play Texas, but then they got Kansas City and Houston. Yeah. And Kansas City and Houston, obviously, are teams that they have to do well against, or they could be really up against it after those series, because then you're in mid-August and you've played poorly and put yourself in position. Those are big swing series right there, as Tyler Milliken, Cousins' cousin, walks down the hall. Tyler Milliken, who is a big baseball fan, if you didn't know.
No, the triple last night, or was it 2 nights ago?
Yeah, I guess I got an email. Jay Stu was telling him, show them nips.
Yeah.
So I don't know. HR might get a little note from the T about them nips. All right, so we'll be back. My guy Isaac's interning, one of my Hofstra kids today.
Oh, you talked to him?
No, but I had to ask Hardy what his name was. But don't worry, it's Isaac.
Why don't you go in there and say hello to the lad?
I knocked on the door and I waved.
No, I want to go in there and have a conversation.
I have talked to Isaac.
Talk to him like a human boy.
I brought him here. Don't pull that crap.
You did.
I brought him here. I met him in Hofstra. I could have ignored him. He talked to me. I said, kid, you got something.
Why don't you
I'll take you up to the big
But have you ignored him since he got here?
Why didn't you give him
I brought him into the first meeting that we had after the show. Don't try it, fellas.
Why don't
you can't do it.
The gift of your words.
I have given him the gift of my words. I let him sit in a meeting and I let him soak it all in.
He's a sponge, that kid.
I'll let him in the meeting. He can come to every meeting I have today.
Today?
How many meetings is that exactly?
I don't know. You can follow me around. We'll see. 9:30. You can come to all of them. You can be my. You can take notes.
Oh, good.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
722.
Red Sox lost to the Yankees last night, 8-2 at Fenway Park. Tanner Houck allowed 4 runs in 6 innings to take the loss. Alex Cora's team has now dropped 7 of 9 coming out of the All-Star break.
Out of the whole weekend, right? And we lost the series, but we were able to kind of like reset the bullpen, which is important going into tomorrow.
Sox are a game behind Kansas City for the final playoff spot in the American League. Nick Pivetta faces Seattle at Fenway Park tonight. That trade deadline arrives at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Cubs made a deal. They got Tampa Bay All-Star third baseman Isaac Paredes for third baseman Christopher Morel and 2 minor leaguers. Patriots announced yesterday starting defensive lineman Christian Barmore is out indefinitely with blood clots. He was treated over the weekend at Mass General Hospital. The pads are on for the first time today when training camp continues. The workout is open to the public and begins at 11 a.m. At the Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team got 23 points from Kevin Durant. They beat Serbia in their opener 110-84. Jason Tatum didn't play in this game. They'll play South Sudan on Wednesday. Head coach Steve Kerr told the media this morning Tatum will play in the team's next game. And congratulations to the Little Leaguers from Bridgewater. They won the Massachusetts State Championship yesterday. They beat Acton Boxborough 3-1. They open up the double elimination New England Regional Saturday morning against Burlington, Vermont. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by LNF Electrical Services. Don't spend another summer suffering from the heat. Have a mini split system installed by LNF Electrical Services and keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Visit lfelectricalservice.com. Proudly veteran owned and operated. That's lfelectricalservice.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Let's talk turkey, shall we?
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, in the sports industry, that's what you say.
Got your talking head right here, buddy.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. This hour of our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And subscribe. I was 617-779-0985. Should you choose to call, like the gentleman who called in. And he, too, could not find Dan Patrick, did not know where he exists. I don't know if I've gotten information to the contrary, but he exists somewhere, the Dan Patrick
He
show.
did say maybe on Fox 5.
Well, I don't Fox 5, is that New York?
I don't know.
Fox 25 is here.
I don't know what Fox
I know
5 is.
I have no idea.
My lady Shakespeare, who's not on today because we are devoting our time to mountain biking and to women's hockey, as I'm told I should put it. But, I was in Charleston. I left Wednesday. I was there Thursday. I was there Friday. I was there Saturday. And I left Sunday. That's a lot of days. I was there with my son's baseball team. He's got a shoulder injury. He could play, but he couldn't pitch. And but I was going to take him anyway, regardless. And my parents, since they didn't live so far away, and they don't make it up to Boston very often, unless I'm going through something. Well, they come to Charleston. They came to Charleston.
So pretty often.
Well, I've been here since 2006, so if you took it as the entire time I've here, not that much, but I guess there are times where you could say they were here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But they weren't here to, help with the kids or anything like that, like good parents would be. But one thing that happened is I was going to take my son anyway, if he couldn't have played, because I remember going on tournament trips when I was a kid, and I couldn't tell you anything that happened in any of the games. I don't remember if we won or lost. I don't remember like anyone we played against in those away trips. I remember we played against like a couple major leaguers and stuff that I remember. And my father is very fond of telling me. But it's about the stuff that you do after. And my kids, as well as probably a lot of people's kids, lives are so regimented, especially during the school year with activities and everything else. And then, for a long time, day camps in the summer and sports and this and that. And especially my son, his life is regimented. I told you guys that during basketball season, because he was on the varsity basketball team as a freshman.
Right.
He
and we were all impressed then as much as we're impressed now.
You want to bring up the fact that he can dunk too?
John
Wallach.
Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah,
That's what I'm here for.
My son can ram a jam. Thank you, buddy. Can't palm the ball, and he's in no danger of
he's
doing
guided
it.
in, yeah.
But, now, John, don't insult the boy. He has his hand above the rim, and he gets the ball through the hoop.
Okay.
I have a video of it. Would you like me to put it on Instagram?
Maybe during the break you can show me. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't show you. I'd show the world on my Instagram.
Got it.
It's the most powerful thing in the world.
Sorry, Hardy. My fault.
But they went off, and I let them go. We were in a beautiful Hyatt, but it was in this, like Dedham Place. That's what it's called, right? With the movie theater. Legacy Place. If you like tripled that, that's kind of like where the hotel was. A lot of like high-end stores and restaurants. It actually was a good place to be because Charleston is a great city, but it's also a city that if you're a bunch of kids walking around, you can easily end up in a place that you probably don't want to be. And judging by my son's inability to tell me where or how his shoulder hurts when injured, I'm questioning his street smarts as well. That will be something that I'm questioning. And but I would let them free range. I let him go out. And so a lot of the kids would just go out and they would do whatever. But it was funny because my son, we'd go out to dinner either with my parents or like with the families. And then I'd end up back in the room at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'd go like, just go out. I don't care what you do. Just go do whatever you want. And he would leave and then he would come back and he's like, you're sure you're okay being alone? Like, you're sure you're okay being alone? Which I thought was very sweet, but also he realizes how vulnerable and fragile I am. that he's like, are you going to have a breakdown, Dad? Like, Dad, are you can I trust you alone in this room?
I got my phone on me in case you need me.
Exactly. It was totally reversed. I had no concern of what he was doing.
Any problems, just call.
But they got in like mild trouble, right? Like nothing that I heard about. He just told me. But they got in like a situation where they got kicked out of a place and they got real mild stuff. Like he told me about it. It wasn't like I didn't get a call from the police or anything like that. They didn't break the law, but they were places where they shouldn't have been and stuff like that. The amount of mischief, and he's 16 years old, and the amount of mischief that my kids have been in is very minor. And so I do get excited, like when they get kicked out of a store or something like that for something not stealing or anything, but for just being nuisances, because I'm like, good, like this is something you could do, because we've been over it on the show a million times with me. Quickly, like we would make explosives. We lit a lot of things on fire. There was, we had the Anarchist Cookbook. I've told the story a million times. We tried everything in the Anarchist Cookbook, which was basically the part that wasn't about how to make free phone calls on payphones, which was way too technical and now really useless. It was about how to blow things up, essentially, and how to make napalm, which I've told you we've done before. And then we lit the napalm on fire, and of course we couldn't put the napalm out because that's the point of napalm, and so we just left it. We were just like, okay, well, we'll just let this napalm burn. So I don't want them doing things like that. But they are free range now. Do your kids do they get in mischief? Are they free range at all?
My daughter is certainly out there doing a lot of stuff, and I'm sure some of it probably gets to the mischief level. But I do think I don't want to say girls are different from boys in the amount of trouble they can get in. It's a different kind of trouble.
It's a different kind of trouble. My
I don't worry
daughter,
about
too.
going out and like blowing stuff up.
No, but they don't anymore. Like, I don't think kids do that, and it's a good thing. I don't think that kids like blow stuff up. I just saw that 22 Jump Street or whatever the hell the comedy was, and Tatum ends up being friends with the dorks, and they are putting chemicals together to see if they'll blow up. And I'm like, aha, yes, kids do that.
Yes.
But when you were a kid, did you also do those things? Did you also light things on fire? Because we've never discussed this with you.
Constantly. But I mean, now we didn't make napalm, but we're always making exploding devices. The lighter fluid with the tennis ball can, and making potato guns, and just. I mean, the fireworks and the explosives would go on all summer long. We were constantly trying to blow stuff up and build things just so we could destroy them. And yeah, that's what you did. A lot of fires.
Did anything get out of? Did you ever have a kid who got in trouble? Because I had a couple of friends who got in trouble, and the punishment was they had to go to the fire station every Saturday for like all summer.
Really? Oh, we got in trouble, but we didn't have to do that.
Yeah, like I had a friend. I told you we lit the grass in the park one day, and it just all went up. It hadn't rained in a long time, and so we ran. And we tripped one of the kids, so he got caught, and they made him.
You don't have to outrun the police; you just have to outrun the slowest kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they caught him, and they were like, "What are they going to do? Throw him in jail?" We didn't really, nothing important burned. It was a very frightening feeling to seeing like an acre of grass just erupt into flame.
Oh boy!
It was at a park, dude. There was nothing in the park. It was just like grass. There was a playground across the creek, but it was very. But then you just had to go to the. And if I'm like the fire department, I'm like, what do I? Like, you have him wash the truck once, and you know he's going to screw it all up. And then what are you going to do from then on? Then now you're essentially babysitting every Saturday.
Yeah, I guess for the weekend that you just had, though, Fred, I wouldn't have been worried about that type of mischief. The type of mischief you're talking about with the setting the fields on fire and when we were blowing stuff up when we were kids, that's when you're home and you're bored. So they weren't bored because they were in a new city and they can just walk around and, just be.
No, and they're never bored because the worst case scenario is you get on Xbox and you can play video games with your friends and they can hear you, or you can be on a video with them.
Yeah.
Like, they're never bored.
Yeah.
That's the thing now. Which I suppose might be good. I know it's supposed to be bad, but I suppose it might be good. You know what I'm saying?
They're saving a lot of fingers. I went to high school with a kid who had lost 2 of his fingers blowing stuff up. That was the same kid that was a year younger than me and used to dip Kodiak in class and not spit it out. He would just swallow the juice.
Yeah, they let the wrestlers dip when I was a kid to make weight, which I always thought was funny.
But that kid was missing 2 fingers from blowing stuff up.
Was he a legend or was he mocked?
He was just normal. He's just like, oh,
no. But if you blew off 2 fingers blowing something up, that's kind of cool. Or was it like, wow, I can't believe you blew 2 fingers off because you messed up blowing something off?
Yeah, he definitely wasn't mocked. I bet people just didn't mess with that kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is that if you were enough of a badass to blow off a couple fingers
and
as a kid,
and dip Kodiak at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
and just swallow it down.
Well, I told you the time that I was walking to school and I saw a friend of mine drinking vodka out of a bottle at 7:30 in the morning, and I went, "Whoops-a-daisy."
Was it Rosie Perez from White Men Can't Jump?
No, but it was a guy that drove a truck. Now he's a long haul truck driver.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I'm not positive that habit ever stopped. So have fun on the roads, ladies and gentlemen. All right, when we come back, we get to our award-winning email segment that everyone loves so much. everybody. You can email us at jon@985thesportshub.com. And this bit that someone accused Hardy that we stole from Felger and Maz, the idea of reading email.
Yes.
That we stole it from Felger and Maz, which is
I
very
talked
true.
to Felger and Maz, though, and I smoothed it over with them, so we're good.
Maz is still a little upset, I've heard. But you can email Hardy at 985thesportshub.com. You can contact me, TOUCHER, at 985thesportshub.com. You can follow us over there on social media at Toucher and Hardy, and me at Fred Toucher. I don't have a ton of email as I was not here.
I have one email here that has three either questions or points to make. This is from Dave. It says, number one, am I the only one who's had enough of Snoop? And if you've been watching the Olympics, you've seen Snoop.
Okay, isn't it interesting with cancel culture what remains and what doesn't remain? So there is a documentary coming out about Louis C.K.
Right.
About how he masturbated in front of women and without their consent, and he was like a creepy guy. And then he lost like a bunch of TV shows and stuff like that, but then he like turned around and he sold out Madison Square Garden and stuff, so there's still an audience. And it's basically a documentary reminding everyone and talking to the people that he did it to. So that's existing. And then there's Snoop, who
was he? Now, I was going to ask you if Louis C.K. was ever on trial for murder.
No.
Okay.
And here's the thing is that there are people still that have said something that offended people, like Jeremy Piven, like said something, and not like he's a huge talent, but like he still can't get roles because he said something. There are people that have said something that have upset people, that have been ostracized from Hollywood. Snoop Dogg, who look no further, and just if you went by his raps alone, and I'm not saying this is that he shouldn't be given these opportunities, but if you went by the raps alone, a lot of, I'm going to go so far as to say misogynistic language.
A case could be made.
A case could be made. He has been on trial for murder.
Mm-hmm.
He is affiliated openly with a big major gang, and yet, for some reason, the world has decided that none of that matters, which it shouldn't, I guess. But why, for one person, I can't think of anyone who has been quote unquote canceled for something they said off the top of my head. Like, say Dave Chappelle, for instance, who hasn't really been canceled. He still sells everything out. He has Netflix specials. But if like Dave Chappelle was the guy who was involved in the Olympic ceremony because of his comments on the trans community, like you wouldn't, like you, it would never stop.
Well,
like
he wouldn't be because of
right.
that
Exactly.
stuff.
What I'm saying is
Right.
that, like, but isn't it interesting that he wouldn't be, and he's a bigger star than Snoop, but Snoop is, despite the whole murder stuff and the stuff that he's rapped about, and I bet you there's been some homophobic stuff. I bet you, No Vaseline, I believe he's featured on, which is a song called No Vaseline, or is that Ice Cube's No Vaseline? Anyway,
that's Ice Cube, but I mean, Snoop was famous for saying, now here's a Jimmy joke about your mama that you might not like. I heard she was. And then there is some very
I bet you there's some homophobic commentary in his raps as well.
I didn't finish it, but yes, I mean it's in there. The point is, Snoop is there, and I was watching the Olympics over the weekend, and someone said, it's so great that he's there, and I said, he's getting paid. He's there to make a lot of money as almost like, I don't want to say mascot, but as an official hype man, even though Flava Flav is there too. And what team is he attached to, Flava Flav?
No idea.
He called himself the greatest hype man in the world, the original hype man, and he's there hyping somebody else. Tom Cruise was at the gymnastics event last night.
Well, that's because he likes to be with women taller than him.
Yeah. Like Simone Biles. He wants to be towered over by Simone Biles.
He goes, I want women taller than me, but not by much.
Yeah. That Lady Gaga was there last night, but Snoop is the official one, the one who I'm sure is getting compensated for it. And yeah, here we are 3 days in, and I'm kind of over it. So yes, Also, question number 2 from Dave. Is it so wrong for a man to despise...
Hang on one second. Let's go just the other way politically, because I gave you the example of Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick, who the right hates because of him taking a knee. In fact, people in my parents' neighborhood find out on sports radio and still bring him up, even though I haven't thought about Colin Kaepernick since probably the last time they brought it up till now. If Colin Kaepernick was the torchbearer, they could never have him do it because he was the guy most associated with taking a knee.
Doesn't want anything to do with the flag or the reverence.
So they
for
would
the
never have him do that.
Yeah.
And if he did do it, I mean, politicians would be talking about they can't believe it's an outrage that he's out there.
Yeah.
Yet here's Snoop, who has talked about, and again, I don't care about any of this. Fred, you're just saying you don't care. No. I really don't care. But I'm just saying it's fascinating to me that some people will just say something or like do something like take a knee during an anthem, which ultimately doesn't affect you at all. But then someone who plausibly has been involved in multiple murders and then said the same, if not way worse, than the person that you would never allow to do that, it gets a pass. How do you people decide who you hate and who you like? How do you decide when you forgive someone for something? Like when does that whole exercise happen? Because there's no set rule.
No, it's not individualistic. Those people, I have come to find, take the temperature of those around them. Really dumb, they take the temperature of social media and go, okay, now I'm ready to forgive.
How many people have lost jobs because of tweets, right?
Yeah.
Like they've tweeted something. Probably hundreds have lost high-profile jobs by tweeting something, and they've never been back. But yet there are some people that are allowed to come back, and I would like to know who's decided that. Let's go into rap. All right, so Snoop Dogg is allowed to do that. Snoop Dogg had the Doggy Style, which the title is a double entendre. It's because he's Snoop Dogg, and also a sex act. Hardy, I know you're looking at me puzzledly. I'll describe it in great detail. The Karma Sutra.
Oh, that's right.
I'll
Doggy Style was the follow-up to Gentle Missionary. Now it makes sense.
it was just, listen, it's God doesn't want us to use protection. That's the name of the first one. But let's go like by rappers. So, oh boy, like who now? There's got to be like, okay, what if they had like Willie D from Ghetto Boys? Like
they decided he was the one.
That he's the torchbearer.
He's the one who befriended Martha Stewart and Willie Nelson, and he's the guy.
They came back and they saw and they listened to the first Ghetto Boys album, and Willie D standing there with the and what's the difference between Willie D and Snoop Dogg, except for Snoop Dogg sold more records. Willie D said terrible things too. Not in my opinion, but based on the cultural phenomenon. I mean, there's people that have been fired for jobs, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, just on the radio. Like, say what Dom Imus said about the Syracuse women's basketball team. Rutgers women's basketball team. I apologize. Imus got fired. It was this huge scandal. When I got in trouble for the Tebow thing, the reason I got in trouble for the Tebow thing is because it was the right coming after me because the left had just gone after Don Imus, and they're like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. What Imus said about Syracuse, now Imus got to work again, but imagine if Imus, Rutgers, I apologize. It didn't affect me the way it affected everyone else.
I still remember it, and I'm still waiting for a personal apology.
Well, it's going to be a while because him and his brother are dead. So his wife, though, very, very many years to live, much younger than him. So he had
his brother, the cowboy hat guy, is dead?
He died before Imus.
The boots guy?
He died before Imus.
Oh.
You know what I loved was when Imus would talk about the ranch. Oh. I liked how Imus started wearing a cowboy hat, too. And pretending he was a ranch hand, even though I believe he's from Ohio. So anyway, he imagine Imus is holding the Olympic torch.
Mm-hmm.
And all Imus did, as bad as it may be, was say something off the top of his head about the Rutgers women's basketball team.
Now you got it.
And he had to do the Al Sharpton thing and everything else.
Yep.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
I would like to know what if, people have conspiracies about the government. And
There's just a room somewhere where they decide
Exactly.
who is going to be forgiven and embraced and who will never be brought back into the fold
While
again.
you do the next story, next email, I'm going to go just rap genius one of Snoop Dogg's
Okay, but
songs.
I want you to hear Dave's third point here, which is glad to have you guys back. The show continues to execute at the highest level despite the blatant racism and gaslighting emanating from the third chair. So, for what that's worth.
A lot of people, a lot of parents at the baseball tournament, huge fans of the show. A lot of parents, this show is superior in their mind to anything else that I've done in the
Even in Atlanta?
No, it doesn't have Leslie Fram on it.
Oh,
okay, that's important.
All right, let's go to "Murder Was the Case That They Gave Me" by Snoop Dogg.
Okay, which is that was the case that they gave him, and he was. It was 3 years after the alleged murder that they brought him to trial.
All right, so here it goes.
Okay.
I'm going to do this as tactfully as I can.
I was going to say,
if
careful.
I'm reading it, I can say the N-word, right?
I wouldn't worry.
N-word, roll up on the side of him, man. Roll your window down. Man, hand me the mother effing Glock, man. Give me another clip because I'm going to smoke this fool. Yeah, roll the windows down. Yeah, okay, here we go. So he's saying that he rolled the window down.
Mm-hmm.
Hand me my gun. I'm going to kill this gentleman.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. Look up to the sky. My mind starts tripping. The tear drops from my eye. My body temperature falls. I'm shaking and they break in trying to save the dog, pumping my chest and I'm screaming. Now he's the one that has died. You understand?
Oh, I see. Then switcheroo.
No more Indo, no more gin and juice.
Mm.
I'm on my way to Chino, rolling on the Grey Goose. Shackled from head to toe. 25 with an Izzle. With nowhere to gizzo, I know. He's going to jail, guys. I like how he started saying, like, Izzo and stuff, like, at the end of everything, to rhyme easier.
Felony possession of drugs in a 3-year prison sentence. That was shortly after graduating high school in 1989. Possession of cocaine, all right, 3 years, all right. Traffic violation for gun possession, guilty plea, 93 and 97. He got public service, 800 hours of community service.
Man.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And arrested and charged with first-degree murder of a rival gang member. And both men were charged. Brodus was purportedly driving the vehicle from which the gun was fired. Both Brodus, that's Snoop Dogg, and his bodyguard were acquitted. Okay. And some, marijuana charges, airport arrests, for carrying, things into the airport, more drug possession. Okay. Assault of a fan. That was in 2005.
So you're saying he's had more than
sexual
one charge.
Sexual assault lawsuit. Woman sued Snoop Dogg for $10 million, alleging he had sexually assaulted her.
Okay.
The suit was withdrawn.
Okay, well, hasn't Kevin Spacey, and again, I'm not advocating for any of these people,
But
hasn't-
Spacey is not going to be the Olympic torchbearer, or
No, but I believe-
or not torchbearer, but at least
He ran with the flame in Paris.
Kevin Spacey, you're saying?
Snoop Dogg ran with the torch.
Yes, he did.
No, he did. You
yes,
didn't know
he did.
that?
No,
oh, yes.
I've just seen
he
him
wasn't
like on the
guy. No,
sidelines.
he wasn't the guy to bring it into the
No,
stadium.
he held
but
the Olympic
He held
torch.
the Olympic
Did he,
flame
did he
in
crip
Paris.
walk with it?
And well, that I wouldn't know.
Oh,
what
I'm
that
surprised
looks
you
like.
didn't see that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, that's why we're talking about this. They let him hold the torch.
I thought we were talking about just because he's been on TV a lot cheering on.
No, he was part of the
held
ceremony.
The Olympic torch. He had
Yeah,
it
that's my whole point
running
with this.
down the street with it.
Is that he's part of the ceremony. You understand?
I can't believe you missed that.
Dan, go ahead. And again, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just wondering how we make these decisions as a society. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, Fred, I'm with you. I had the same conversation. I mean, you got guys that were getting arrested at their concerts like Dre and Eminem who totally corrupted the youth of America, according to everybody. And now they're in all the truck commercials and appearances and drafts and things like this. It really is interesting that some people can just be cast aside.
Dan Quayle rallied against NWA, which featured Dr. Dre and who is the Svengali of Snoop Dogg. Dan Quayle rallied against them. They were the most controversial group. They were getting arrested at shows. They were all this stuff. But I loved NWA. I mean, I couldn't believe it when my friend's brother put it on the car. I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world. But I mean, Dr. Dre performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. He's been the alleged violence against women. D. Barnes, he was fined $2,500, given 2 years probation in order to perform 240 hours of community service, and then do and he fulfilled that by making an anti-violence public service announcement. So he's actually had to serve community service for assaulting a woman. But he performed at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Sure.
But you could literally tweet something making fun of someone and never work again. And that's just the decision that the air makes.
There's a room of people somewhere who are making these decisions.
Just the air. Just I guess,
Yeah.
I don't think Diddy's in any danger of getting a chance to hold the torch, no matter what the room says. I think that's pretty much sealed. I don't think life's going to be very good for him.
No.
Yeah, Jared from Subway, I don't think is coming back out with the torch.
A few that you're never coming back from. Nobody wants them.
No.
We will get to a few things here in the stack, Fred, including I don't know if you've noticed a certain insect, we'll call them, have been making themselves very, very present and populous this summer. I think we'll find out why, but one beach that was swarmed by these insects over the weekend, a lot of vomit on an airplane, and also what Keishon Boutte had to say about his quote-unquote dumb decision that he made, and what has come of that.
All right, we will have that for you coming up in just a moment.
Sports Hub headline.
including women's water polo, which is going on right now. I'll watch water polo. That's one of the ones I'll watch. I'm amazed that they can go so long without touching the bottom.
I make fun of or not make fun of, but I say, the Olympics, I don't care so much and I only pretend to care. But if it's a game, if they're keeping score, if it's a sport, I will watch it. I will sit here and watch this now. Okay, there's a score. It's the U.S. is up 3-1 over Spain. All right, looking good. 3:08 left in the first. How many quarters did they play? I don't know, but it's a sport. There's a ball, and they're keeping score. I'm watching.
And I'm watching. You're telling me you'd watch like mixed doubles badminton?
Oh, God, yes. I love badminton.
Yeah, you're giving bad examples.
Yes, badminton.
What I'd be less likely to watch is, and I know there's a big tennis match, if not today, like tomorrow between
Nadal and Djokovic.
But I know for a fact that they don't care nearly as much as they do about majors. So I'd be less likely to. While I'd watch a Wimbledon final. I mean, when I say watch, based still on my ability to keep attention to something, because I'm as bad as any kid. Like the phone and the internet has ruined I have ADD. Like I can't sit down and watch something unless I physically go to a movie theater. I've told you guys that. I have trouble reading now, and I used to love to read. I mean, I still do read, but I can't. It takes me I have to really concentrate to get into the groove of it.
Oh,
so I'd this women's water polo match. I'd watch it. But let's be honest. I mean, I'd be doing 7,000 other things.
Yeah, I'd be doing other things. What I'm always curious about is men and women's swimmers, water polo players, even some of I was watching the 400-meter, what was it? The one where they switch. They, start with
individual medley.
Individual medley. They go from the breaststroke or the butterfly to the breaststroke to the
backstroke.
Backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm familiar with the breaststroke.
Hell yeah. The guy who won it from France. And, Michael Phelps, these guys are, they're oddly proportioned. You would think that every swimmer, every water polo player, every swimmer would look like a marathon runner from spending so much time swimming. And they're not. They seem to have not healthier, but more normal proportioned bodies. They have sometimes, God forbid, they even have a little body fat.
I've heard
something about being in a pool or swimming.
Yes, I've heard that it is the temperature of the water. You develop a layer of something over your muscle. I really have heard that.
Yeah.
Or the action of the swimming is not enough. You know how I know about the individual medley? I've told this story on the air before, but ladies and gentlemen, I've been on the air since 2006 here. Been on the radio since 1999. I'm going to repeat myself sometimes. Young man wearing a Speedo. Huge hog. No embarrassment there. But I am I'm on the starting up.
Where was this?
How can you not smile? That was fun. You not smiling is making me laugh.
Yeah, I think it's hot.
I was a kid. Still a hawk.
Things were defined, though. You could see what was what.
No. So I'm on the starting block, and I got so nervous.
You're just focused. That's all you are.
Yeah. Tell me more.
He wants the rest of the story.
I'll let you know when you say something funny.
Him not smiling at all is making me laugh.
He's just got that steely-eyed stare. He's not breaking for anything.
So,
yes.
Do tell, Fred.
So I'm up there, huge hawk on me.
Right on. Keep going.
Proud.
I'll let you know when I'm uncomfortable.
People ask when's he turn 18 so we could get him in some productions. There you go.
There it is.
There we are. I broke him.
Roller girl, go back there and see what he's got.
Yeah, you should see the end of the movie. It's a prosthetic, but it could have been real. But no. So I get up there and I get so nervous, and it seemed forever since they were snapping the gun off there, that I let a little pee out. But I had the Speedo on, so I thought everyone could tell, so I deliberately false started, to get my entire body wet and the suit wet, which I still stand to think, and I'm not being facetious when I say this, is the smartest and most instinctually evolutionary,
I was going to say,
well-equipped thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah, maybe your greatest act of self-preservation.
When I tell you that, I am not kidding.
Yeah.
That is in my life, maybe the proudest I've ever been of myself.
Yeah.
Is that sure, you let a little pee out, like, sure, you're a coward and a wimp, but boy, did you know to get in that water. You get 2 falses, you don't get kicked out for the first one. So, I gave myself a little false start there and got right back up on there and didn't pee myself again.
Good for you, buddy.
I could never flip. I took lessons to do the flip turn, and I could never. And I took lessons. And the lady who gave me the lessons, heroic lady, one leg, with the swim instructor at my swimming pool, one leg.
Yeah.
But she was a wonderful woman, but I could not. I took lessons specifically to learn how to do that, and I could never do it. I still can't do it. I can't. I can't make.
You don't think you could go do it right now?
What's wrong with me?
With all that you've
What's
learned?
wrong with me is I have an uncaring heart.
Yes.
What's wrong with me? I'm cruel. I'm a bully.
Kick turn.
That's what's wrong with me, Hardy.
All right. You don't do any yard work. Wallach, do you do your own yard?
No.
You have a yard service?
I do.
Dan. Let me talk to Dan first. Nick.
I'm with you.
Nick does it. You noticed a lot of dragonflies this year?
I have not. I've noticed a lot of black flies. I'm a little bit further.
All right.
Nick, a lot of dragonflies? You guys don't even know what the hell you're talking about. There's a lot of dragonflies this year. They say it's because of the early spring and the early summer. More insects means more dragonflies because that's what they eat. And then on a Rhode Island beach on Saturday, there was a biblical swarm of dragonflies.
Did you see the video?
Misquamicut.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Maybe we could get someone on the air that's from here.
From Misquamicut?
Yeah. Or
Rhode Island?
Misquamicut.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Get Cattles in here. He can tell you how to pronounce it.
That's a great idea.
Dragonfly apocalypse is how it was described by somebody, and then they shared multiple videos. I'm looking at the Channel 5 website right now, WCVB. Fred, that's just a still image of the dragonflies that just happened on the beach.
If you're telling me that a bug's got to be around, I'm going dragonfly. They don't do anything to you.
They don't do anything to you, but they're big. And I found a couple like hanging out in my garage that was the size of small sparrows.
But you know what?
Huge this year, and they're everywhere.
I almost find their size making them less concerning. Like they're big enough I can keep an eye on them.
Oh, that's just dumb. Why don't you go learn a kick turn? All right, United Airlines flight.
You know what you are? It's a bully.
Don't. A United Airlines flight on Sunday.
Hardy at 985thesportshub.com. Rick Radzik is his boss.
Here come the emails.
Bound for Boston out of Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, which is only 2 hours outside of Houston. If you ever fly into Houston, factor in some extra time to get from the airport to Houston.
I've been
proper.
to Houston. I was there for the Super Bowl.
Right.
I found it to be a very nondescript city.
We flew into Hobby, though, if I remember correctly.
Nice memory.
Something happened on board the plane that forced them to touch down in D.C. instead for a deep clean after a passenger became ill. And the situation so severe, crew members and others on board started becoming ill themselves. I talked to the crew, and it sounds like it's quite bad back there. The crew is vomiting. The passengers all around are asking for masks. A crew member was heard saying in audio from the flight.
May I stay on?
Some kind of
Are we forced to leave while you clean?
So one person starts throwing up, and then it's like a pie-eating situation from Stand By Me.
Yep.
Everyone just started throwing up, crew included.
Flight attendants not a lot to do on planes anymore. Not so much to do. Not so much service as there was once back in the day.
So I never understood why you get the snacks first. Shouldn't you get the drink first?
Well, I got drinks. Sometimes they double up when they're really shortchanging you. But I would contend that if you're on a flight with 30 rows, 6 times 30 is what, John? 6, 12, 18, 180 people.
Yes.
Serving each, so say out of 180, 120, one something, you got 3 hours, giving 100 people half a soda. That ain't rocket science.
Well, yeah, you can bring your own. You don't bring your own on the flight?
No. I bring a nitrous tank. fucking Blue Velvet, that sumbitch. All right, that'll do it for us. Enjoy your days. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. Hardy's going down to camp. If you see him, give him a big kiss on the cheek.
There you go. Introduce yourself. Say hello.
That'll do it for us, everyone. Have a